What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, thank the Lord we can finally do this. We are talking Scream 6, we're talking spoilers, and we're here to talk about whatever, I feel like, I suppose. So, I'll take questions, we'll take comments from the chat. I'm going to kind of go on a rant. I wanted to do this later on in the day, but I've just been thinking to myself so much, talking to my wife, and thought, come on, we got to talk to each other. So I guess a couple really quick house cleaning things before we start going in. I'm going to stream, obviously, right now. I'm probably also going to stream on Monday, sometime during the day. And then hopefully next week, later on in the week, I want to get like a panel, a group of people, and we'll talk about probably like the Lethal Collective group and maybe a few others, and we'll talk about Scream 6. So I'm pumped. I'm pumped to talk about it with you guys. I am locating more issues with the film, for sure. They do not ruin it for me at all. I never want to say never, because who knows, maybe they kind of all add up in my head and I say I despise the film. But no, honestly, I really love it. I still love it to this day. I do think there were issues, and I want to talk about the issues in this video, a live stream. I want to make a video doing like a top 5 mistakes or issues like Scream 6 had. I'm afraid of the backlash. I'm afraid of how many dislikes that video would get, because people will say, oh, why it's just so negative, people the way they are on YouTube. But there are negatives. There are some things that I think were, thinking about now, the Mindy thing I definitely want to talk about with you guys. But they're isolated. They're big moments that I think are issues in this film. But if you take them out, which I guess is maybe that's a copping out kind of thing, but all of the rest of it, I loved it. And I think a lot of it's also subjective. I think a lot of it is, like the opening, I didn't even love it, but I praised it for its being different. And I give it a lot of credit for that. And so maybe I have to do that for the other scenes as well. Hello, everybody. How's it going? This movie was sweet. Dude, look in Sam's eyes, bro. Yes, we're gonna. This is all spoilers, so you can talk spoilers in the chat. You can ask me spoiler questions. I'm gonna talk spoilers, and we'll go from there. If you have any, I'm gonna try to read as many comments, but of course, when I go on like rants, I tend to leave comments behind. Super chats, as always, go to like the front of the group, just like every other YouTuber says, right? So yeah. Happy Friday. It was so fun. What'd you think about the killers? Okay, so yeah, let's talk about the killers first. I think that's a good first question. So I wasn't, they're weak. The killers in this movie are weak when they are their human phase. I think the ghost phase, and again, I like to look at these movies like that. When I've ranked the ghost face killers in the past, and I made those videos, I actually, in that video, I talked about how I include phone calls. The phone calls, I like, even though it's Roger's voice, I like to assign the phone calls to a killer. So if the phone calls are really good, I kind of give the killer a little bit more, even though it's not really, you know what I mean? So I kind of do that. I will say Quinn was, I really liked Quinn as Quinn. Like when she walks in on Mindy, when she walks in on Tara and Chad, I really liked that. I liked her scene with Sam talking about like, you always get so mad. And then she's like, oh, we're at the mad phase. I like Quinn. Her as a villain, she's roughly the same. She's just like a little bit more animated. So I didn't mind her. I thought Ethan was easily the weakest. I think Discover Montreal, when I was on that live stream with Steven of Craven Something Scary, he had told me that he had either heard or it's in his belief that Jack Champion isn't a good actor. And I was like, oh, great. Because the last thing this movie needs is a potential killer that, let me turn the volume down a little bit. I think it's too loud. The last thing this movie needs is a killer who can act. And I will say I don't think he was a good actor, like, at all. Now, he's so young. He's the youngest of, I believe, all of them. But him as just Ethan was not strong, like, at all. And then it was overcompensating. I actually think that was more the writing than his fault. But then the ending, he's kind of just like a wackier version of himself. I definitely don't think it was all that good. So I definitely would say he was extremely weak. Some people were saying Dermot Mulroney's acting wasn't very, like, that's how he is. Like, I haven't really watched too many other things of him. I don't know why this stupid mic. I'm going to just, you know what? I'm going to go like this. It's like going in the red. I haven't really watched almost anything that he's ever been in my life, but I do remember, I can think of, because I've watched so many of the interviews with him. He just, like, his face and how he makes the certain facial expressions, that's just him. I don't really think he can, literally, change that when he acts. So I liked him as kind of like the detective. And then when he became the killer, I didn't mind it actually at all. It was more of the motive, which was just like a simple revenge thing. It was more of the motive being, it's a ripoff of 2. The connecting it to Richie thing, I thought was both interesting and also not really anything that substantial. And then Ethan's, or Jack Champion's acting, I think kind of sunk it. But the thing is, I loved Sam and Tara carried it. Kirby carried. Like, those 3 did so good. The deaths were hitting Quinn in the face with a brick, stabbing Ethan through the mouth. Like, I'm not, and we've talked about this before, I am not a gore guy. I don't care about it. I'm not even saying it about the gore. I just thought it was tense. I thought it was kind of epic. Sam going full Ghostface with the call and really, like, going for it, right? Like, what's your favorite scary movie? And he's like, well, you're in one. It was so good. So, like, I have probably the most problems with the ending compared to the rest of the film, but I also think it had the best, like, Sam going nuts on Bailey was incredible. It was incredible, like, absolutely. And then her taking it off, it felt kind of right to see Melissa Barrera in that outfit. You know what I mean? So I adored that. And I adored their way out of the situation, like when Kirby kind of saves them and then they smack Quinn with the brick and then Sam goes nuts on Ethan. Like, those moments were incredibly good, even if the theme, and I do want to talk a little bit about that because I guess one of the weaknesses that I have seen people point out, and I agree, how do you actually get away with that, right? You have to kill Danny because you can't just go to the hospital to make sure Gail and Mindy die, because Danny also knows that Quinn died. So you have to kill him too. If you don't kill him, and also I suppose the only way it's believable is if you follow the logic that nobody knows that Quinn died except for Bailey and except for the people that were in that room, and also Danny. Like, those are the only people. No detectives, no paramedics, none of them knew Quinn died. If you believe that, which is what the movie I think requires you to believe, I guess. But if you don't believe that, then yeah, like, how are you supposed to say your daughter died and then she didn't actually die, right? So that wasn't very smart. It wasn't smart because you also would have to kill Danny because Danny was outside and he wasn't dead. He'd be able to rat on you. So that's one thing. Okay, so I think we talked. I mean, and we'll go back. I mean, I'm sure if there's any more specifics of it, but I love the moments. Chad, the kiss with Tara getting stabbed. Like, I kind of expected something to ruin their little intimate moment there. I thought that was awesome. I thought, and I mentioned this in the review, the hand-to-hand combat, like Chad dodging knives and grabbing, and then Sam and Tara would come in and grab Ghostface and Chad punch. Like, it was so good. I could watch that on repeat, and I probably will. So I want to give them a load of credit, for those scenes. So even if, again, the motive was 2. The motive was revenge. Now, it's a whole family this time. And I know I saw some people say, well, like, did Sam not see the family? I think that's kind of believable, to be honest with you. She was with Richie, I believe, 6 months. They were like in the middle of nowhere, right? Like at a bowling alley working. It's pretty possible that he never showed her brothers, sisters, or dad. Like, I kind of buy that. Okay. I got 2 of the 3. Yeah, me too. I mean, that's Bailey and Quinn, or Bailey and Ethan. I knew Quinn. I knew in the moment. See, it's another thing, but it's hard because if you watch any of these movies, as the movies go on, it can only be certain people. I think 2 did a really good job of making it not seem like it was Mickey and Mrs. Loomis. Like, I think 2, thinking about it, is probably the best one at keeping the secret the longest. Because as these movies go on and you eliminate people, you're eliminating suspects. So you only have so many people left. So this movie, one of the issues this movie had is that the only other people it could have been were Danny, who they did a good job, but I actually bought that he was sincere. Like, I fully bought he was sincere. Yeah, because they were doing the Derek thing, like, it was very obvious. And then Kirby. Like, I don't know, you guys have to let me know what you think. And I said this in the review. I didn't love that they were really trying to make it seem like it could be Kirby. You know, but I did actually kind of believe Detective Bailey when he called and said she was fired, 2 months ago. I kind of bought it in that moment, and I could understand how Sam bought it. Like, I get that for sure. But, like, come on. They're not going to make an old survivor a killer, right? So a problem this movie had is they were afraid to kill people. That's one problem. But then, like, they killed the people you would suspect. So at the end of the day, I mean, you knew it had to be Detective Bailey, right? Because there's obviously a cop helping. And then Ethan was just so obvious from the beginning. So if anything, I think this movie's twist or one-up was that it was so obvious it was those two that maybe you weren't thinking about Quinn. I think that could be it. I really do. The issue then is they were trying to deflect off of Bailey and Ethan. They were trying to make it seem like it wasn't them, so you have to implicate other people, but there are no other people. So you have to implicate a survivor in Kirby, which is not believable, and then Danny. And Danny was believable. So I think that was a problem this movie ran into is there's so many returning characters, you didn't kill any, and then, a lot of these new people, you murdered too. I don't want to say they murdered too quickly because I actually thought they were, like, I loved Annika more than I loved any side character in 5. Wes, Liv, any of them. Annika was better than all of them, in my opinion. So they did a really good job in limited time. I guess when I say they killed them too quickly, they killed them so quickly that they couldn't have ever been suspects. And then you eliminate, you know what I mean? So that was kind of an issue. Who killed who? So the video's done. The video is ready to go. I'm going to post the video tomorrow morning. Who killed who? I got every single one of them. So I'm ready to destroy it. I don't know about you guys, but for me, this is first or second on my list. I still want to put this at second. It's not better than 1. 2, like I mean, by me putting it at second, that means it's better than all the other movies. I think this is 1,000%, in my opinion. It's better than 5, and it's better than 3. Like, it's, in my opinion, it's not even close. But I've always kind of held that 3 is the weakest of the group. Like, 2 is super good. I have a very soft spot for 4, but I mean, this one's such a wild ride. Like, I gotta give it to him. I do. So, like, right now, I think I'm still putting it as my second favorite. Melissa was amazing. Yes. Yeah, Melissa did such. I mean, like, I feel good, and I'm glad nobody's, like, said anything mean to me or anything, because it's like, I kind of feel bad for her, too. There was an interview with her where the interviewer actually kind of brought up almost that, like, people don't really like her, and Melissa wasn't thrilled with it, like, in one of the interviews. But I think she handled it like a champ, where it's like, hey, if you like my character, you like her. If you don't, you don't. Like, there's nothing I can do to control that. Yeah, well, I mean, there's acting and there's writing, but I get what Melissa was saying. But I will say this, like, again, she crushed it. And I think I would like to retroactively now go back and say it was the writing in 5. I think it was the writing. I think it was the direction that they wanted her to be more emotionless. Because in this, when she had depth, and she was able to do it, she did so good. Her crying was believable. I mean, from her as an actress, her crying was believable. I felt really bad for her in terms of, like, this conspiracy stuff, and because you could tell it was kind of eating her up. Her switching to Ghostface at the end, her kind of, like, almost being hypnotized by Billy's voice and then having to be snapped out of it. Like, a lot of that's writing and scene placement and stuff, but she carried it. It's her. So she did. And, her with Gail, crying with Gail that she thought she was dead. She did so. I mean, really, I'm very impressed. I think Sam was my favorite character. Oh, man, that's tough. Like, because I love Tara. I talked about Tara in 5. I think Tara is probably in, like, the top 3 or 4 in this one. But Danny, in limited time, I thought he was awesome. Chad was awesome. Mindy and her usage I thought was really good. Kirby was, I mean, like, I could maybe make, like, a top 8, and they're all incredibly good. Because I really liked all the Kirby scenes, even though some of them seem like they would have been a Sydney thing. You could tell they kind of gave her Sydney lines. That's okay. I thought she was really good. Gail was really good in the sequence of her chase and stuff. But like the core four were great. But Melissa, I mean, they put so much on her. I think she kind of carried it. I'm willing to maybe say she was my, like, Annika, I really liked. You did not want her to die. At least I didn't want her to die. So yeah. Let me get rid of that. Let me read this super chat. That's what I promised I would do. Remember, super chats go to the front. And like I said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to get to all your comments. So I'm not saying to give me money because you can do whatever you want here. But the super chats would be the fastest way to make me read your comment. I think Sam is running from that darkness. I think 7 is going to be her battling that demon of becoming Ghostface. She said killing Richie felt good. Yes. Yeah, she said it felt good, and that's what scared her the most, right? I think... this is a wild, like, far-out prediction. I think it's possible she kills another survivor in her dark... like, remember how we actually kind of talked about that in this movie where, like, if she goes... and by the way, thank you, Daniel, for the super chat. I really appreciate it, buddy. Remember how I talked about that, though, where it's like, if she kills somebody randomly, like she does it, it's very hard to redeem your character after that. I mean, look, what they did with her and kind of having her snap into, like, this little, like, trance and then having to be snapped out, I think you could kill somebody in that trance. You know what I mean? I think, or injure somebody. I think maybe in 7, she could be defending somebody or something and somebody comes up to her, maybe Chad, and she, like, stabs him. Maybe she kills him, or it doesn't even have to be him, right? But maybe she kills the person, maybe she doesn't, but she does it in that trance, and then she has to be snapped out of it. Like, I think that's what they're leading to, because in 5, like, she fought Billy, the voice, and she also still listened to him. In this one, she really went for, like, a what's the word? Like a hypnotized thing. She was basically hypnotized in a trance when he would talk to her. So she's getting worse, and it's getting kind of deeper into that hole. So I think there's one more phase before you decide... because you either have to, like, banish Bill. That's going to be 7, right? You banish Billy from her mind for good, or she gives in and she's a ghost face. And I can't honestly imagine they go all that way to do that. But I think she can still injure somebody pretty badly and then be talked out of it. I think that can happen. I think that's what they're leading to be honest with you. So, again, thanks for the super chat, buddy. I'm going to try to just look for, like, the biggest questions that... or topics that stand out, and we'll just go from one to the next. And like I said, if you want to do the super chat, that'll get you to the front. I actually liked him as regular Ethan. I thought he was better than Quinn after the reveal. Really? Well, as I've said before, I mean, honestly, I respect people's opinions. Just because I think something does not mean you have to think it. And for a movie thing, right, that's very important that we can all have our own opinion. I definitely don't agree. But that's probably the joy of the film, honestly. I love how they use the blue color shirts in the Scream. I was looking for people wearing blue, and it was most of the cast. Dermot is good in rom-coms, not dramas. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I hear a lot about Jack Champion, not a good actor. The curly hair was a dead giveaway. Man, I was so sure Danny was a killer, but while watching the movie, my head was telling me no, but my heart said yes. I really wanted a Josh Segura monologue. I thought he was great. His trying to get Sam's attention, and like when Sam said, like, oh, I'll just call him back, it's like, oh my God, no. But like it was very believable. It wasn't one of those, cheap kind of things where she can't answer the phone, right? Because then that gives them kind of a head start. So she has to reject the call, or it's got to go to voicemail. But, Danny, like, I see you, mother, swearing at Ghostface and all that stuff. Like, I loved that. A couple scenes I loved with Danny. And it's why he's very high on my list of, like, characters in this film I love. Let's see. Well, okay, the first one that comes to mind is stepping in front of Sam in the train. Okay, so, at the time, you still don't know if he's now, again, like, I really believed he wasn't a killer. So you could say, well, maybe he's doing it to make himself look good. Because right before then, they try to frame him, right? Because he pulls... who does he pull? He pulls Tara or something into the train so that they all stay together. But by doing that, he separates Mindy and Ethan, right? So it kind of makes him look a little sketchy to the group. For me, it was like, no, I kind of believe him. I think he wants them together, as much of them as possible. So when he steps in front of Sam, like, for all you know, Ghostface is walking up and is going to drive a knife through Sam. Like, that's what it's leading towards. And he just steps up and, I'll take it. Like, I'm going to take it for you. And it doesn't happen. I adore that. I thought that was such a cool, that was Derek 2.0, like, for sure. Like, something you would expect Derek to do, but he didn't do, but, Danny did. So that's one. Another thing I loved is when he goes to Sam and he says, don't trust anybody, not your friends, not your family, not me. Again, I think the confidence, where it's like he loves her, clearly, and he wants what's best for her. And it's in a different way than Derek to sit, I think it's kind of deep. It's different than Derek and Sydney. He loves her. He cares about her. He doesn't want her to get hurt. He doesn't want these people to die. And he's giving her advice, like, you have to trust no one, which includes me. I'm okay with it which comes back, right? Because when she says, like, you have to stay out here, you're not coming in with us, trust nobody, right? And I get it. I think that's what he says, right? I get it. So it's like, yeah, you told her that. So I thought, and those were three very big, he's not in too much of the film. He did exactly what I think he needed to do with the ladder sequence, right? I think he was really good with that. But those three scenes, I loved his, again, confidence. I loved his willingness to do what he felt needed, which was exactly what needed to be done. And he killed it. So Josh was great. The sad thing is, I think he probably dies in 7, you know what I mean? Which we'll talk about later. So, yeah. Sam was amazing. She sure was. The opening kill and reveal of a killer right off the bat was crazy. I was so confused. Yeah, I was hoping, right? I was really hoping that would happen. And when it did happen, I was thrilled. And I was like, we're in. And I don't know how much I love it. Because, like, in terms of tension building, it, like, built tension, then it released it, to then build it again with Jason, to then release it again. Like I said, 3's opening I really don't think is very strong. 1's opening obviously is, that's the iconic one. 5 is copying 1, but it's still actually really, really good. 4's opening, I like it. It's very much probably the same. I like 4's opening for what it was trying to do. This is just very, like, again, you watch all these openings. 2 with the movie theater is very different as well, right? They're each different. And I think how different you are gives you kind of an extra, like, bonus point. But it doesn't mean you have to love it. It just means you can credit it and say, oh, that was different. And that's kind of what I'm thinking with 6, where I appreciate it doing its own thing. A killer killing somebody, and then somebody killing that killer as part of a larger plot, right? Because as the movie goes on, the story is that Jason and Greg were going to kill Sam and Tara. And then, Bailey, I keep calling him Dermot, right? Bailey and his family stops them, kills them so that they can do it. So, I love that idea, and very different. So, I am now a big Chad fan. Chad was great. He was great. Sam was crazy with the end. I counted 32 stabs. I wanted to count. I wanted to see how it compared to how many stabs she stabbed Richie. I wanted to see the comparison, but I believe you. I love that she went for, like, different body parts. Like, first she stabbed the arm with the gun, if you guys noticed, right? He had the gun. She stabs the hand multiple times. His hand is like he's trying to block, but it's, like, flailing. And then she goes for the other side. Then she starts stabbing, like, along his sides and, like, his, neckish area. Oh, she was so brutal. So brutal. And then she stopped, and Tara gave her the okay. Like, oh, my God. Sam was by far my favorite character. Yeah, I think I got to give it to her. I really do. I don't know. Because Kirby I loved. Chad I loved. Danny I loved. Do I love them more than Sam? Did they do better? Annika was so good. I was rooting for her to make it. And it was really tough seeing that sequence play out. But just by process of she wasn't in it a lot, can I really say she was better than Sam? No, probably not. So I actually think Sam would then be the best. A Latino Ghostface that was new and appreciated. Third act definitely had issues, but for me the positives outweigh the negatives. Yeah. I think that's kind of where I'm at. The negatives are definitely there. They're worthy to talk about because, they've made some recurring problems, right? They've done some things over and over again that don't really work. One small thing, the day to night changes. Again, did they not learn when Sam and Dewey are driving to the hospital in 5? And then in this one, they're in the park. It's daytime. They know that they're at Gale, which is 8 blocks over, I think Bailey says. 8 blocks. So they have to run there, or I guess they drive, and it's nighttime. It's night. So, like, if it's the fall, it gets late, or it gets dark earlier. But you mean to tell me that the park thing was at like 5:24 and then Gale's attack was at like 5:45, and because of the time of year, it got, daylight savings, it got dark earlier, right? Like, is that what we're supposed to believe? But honestly, I mean, they did it again. And I think they do have I don't know. Like, the motives are, I go back and forth because, like, again, like, do I want to call the motive super weak in 6? It's revenge. Going after the person who killed Richie. That's exactly what 2 was. So if I want to say that this is weak, I need to say 2's weak. Do I? You know what I mean? Like, it's tough how you have to kind of view it. I think just their acting and their kind of personalities were the weakest of, like, the group. So I think that was maybe an issue with the ending of 6. Maybe not the motive. Yeah, I think I'd want to go with that. But the positives are better. Like, Sam, I'll take Sam as Ghostface doing what she did with the call. Like, that would outweigh a lot of To me, I could take a lot of negatives would need to outweigh that, personally. Jason, what's up, buddy? F13, 8 references was fun. Core 4, baby. What'd you think about the Stu conversation? Yes, let's talk about that. They continue to dangle those keys for Stu being alive. Loved it. Yes. Well, like, thank you again, Jason. I really appreciate it. This is, some people didn't believe me. I think you guys are kind of the core, that understand me maybe a little bit more. I did not know the leaks. Like, I'm, like, being dead serious. I feel really pumped right now that I'm able to read comments and talk to you guys because and I'm not even kidding, I missed it so bad. Like, I really I get emotional. I missed it a lot talking to you guys because from when those killers were leaked, and I don't even know what the reveal was. Was it the 3 standing next to each other? I never saw it. I knew it was out there. Tristan, I think on Twitter, had said it, and I went black. I went dark. I did not see any of it. So I just kind of want to throw that out there. Like, all my predictions, I didn't have a clue. I was going based off of myself. I felt very isolated. I didn't talk to any Scream creators over the last 3 weeks. I've been alone, and it's felt not right. But I'm glad to be back. So the Stu thing, I talked about that yesterday, I think, right? The day the movie came out. I didn't know what was in the movie. I think some people maybe did. So here's what I would say about Stu. Yeah, it's very obvious that they are still keeping it alive. Like, it's again the reason why I say in all these Stu videos, I don't like people going after Stu. Now, I don't like people going after Stu fans for the simple fact that Stu fans think he's alive, right? I don't like that at all. I think that's not good. I can think of other, I don't know if I can think of other kind of lines to go with it, but I get mad at that. I really do. Because it's not Stu fans' fault. It's the movie's fault. If they want to say he's dead and give it up. But instead, they dangle the keys. Now, that can be a little scummy as well, right? Because they can dangle the keys forever and never bring him back. They're just doing it so we talk about it, which is a little low. But that's their fault. That's not Stu fans' fault. Now, I think some Stu fans go over the line and upset other people. So there's a whole war that goes on culturally online. But yeah, I mean, the simple idea that Kirby says he's dead and Mindy says, if you believe it, right there, you don't know. He could be dead. He could be alive. The door is still open. I don't think they'll ever do it. But boy, will they never shut up about it. And that's literally it. So I liked it. I like the TV killing. But yet again, here's the thing. Here's a question. So technically, Ethan's final kill is Kirby pushing the TV on him. Is that to signal that a TV can kill a person? Because there's always the debate, would a TV being dropped on your head, would that be enough to kill you? Well, she just did it to Ethan, modern day, same TV. So is that a subtle hint that because this TV killed Ethan, it did kill him, it also killed Stu? Is that what they were going for? I don't know. Maybe it was. So yeah, that's an interesting thing. Okay, as I've said, I mean, like, we're so far back now. Super chats are the only way. Was it just me, or did the therapist's voice resemble Roger's? Maybe think they should have cast him as the therapist. Would have been a fun cameo. Yeah, that would have been funny. Huge fan of the franchise and your channel. Not going to lie, this movie was very disappointing. Extreme plot armor for Core 4. So much for most brutal Ghostface. Also ending copy Scream 2 with theater and the family. Yeah, and totally respect that. I will completely agree. The plot... If I were to make a list and rank the biggest issues with this movie, one of the issues would be what I talked about earlier, where because you don't have enough suspects, it's easy to locate at least two, Ethan and Bailey, right? I'd say that's a big issue. But it's not... I think the biggest problem with this movie is the plot armor. But I think I would probably word it as they're afraid to kill characters. They killed Dewey, which was very bold, but now looking back, it's like, so you kill Dewey, but you don't kill anybody else. So Chad living, like, trust me, I love Chad in this. I thought he was like 500 times better than he was in 5, okay? He was so good. And I want to see him and Tara continue to grow. And maybe you keep them alive and they marry, much like, Sydney and Mark, right? But he got destroyed again. So, like, Dewey had and I think this is kind of where I settle on this, and I want to talk about Mindy because that's a whole thing I really want to get into. I think Mindy's train was the worst, in a way, scene or the biggest problem this entire movie had. If I had to locate one thing, it'd be that. I'm going to talk about that next. So for Chad, he got destroyed in 5, and he got destroyed in 6, to a point where it's, like, really bad. Dewey got 1 knife stab in the back in 1, and 2 or so in 2. Like, it wasn't that many. So I would like also to throw this out there. As these movies have progressed, they've dropped the idea that a couple stabs is all you need to kill someone. Does that make sense? So, like, Billy fake dying was like 3 stabs. Dewey was 1 stab in the back and he's dead. That was back in the 90s. As these movies have gone on, you need more knife. Because if you think about 4, this is the first thing I thought of. If you think about 4, Sydney was stabbed 2 times, right, by Jill at the end of 4, and she very well could have died. Kirby was stabbed 1 time by Charlie, and she could have died. In 5 and 6, you need to destroy somebody to kill them. Annika was stabbed and then, like, opened up because the knife went up, and she still made it until she fell off right? She still made it. Mindy, same thing. Chad was stabbed like 20 times. Sam had to stab Bailey 32 times, and he still wasn't dead. So I think part of the problem is, and I don't know because I don't watch other horror movies, so you guys would have to let me know. As time has gone on from the 90s to now, is it a movie thing where they've kind of made an unspoken rule that a couple knife strikes isn't enough to kill someone now? You need to obliterate them, right? Because I think that factors in because Chad was destroyed much worse than Dewey, and so he is the new Dewey. He had another fake out death like Dewey, so it's the same thing. But Dewey's was much lighter compared to Chad, much lighter. So what are they trying to tell us? That you really need to be stabbed 56 times? Or like, what do you have to do? You know what I mean? I don't know if that's a movie thing, but that's definitely, I think it is, because that's something that I've seen in 5, even like Olivia, I guess, in 4. But again, like Sydney gets stabbed twice at the end of 4, and you think she's dead. Kirby can walk that off now. Tara got stabbed multiple times. She's fine, right? Sam got stabbed multiple times. She's fine. Or she got sliced and then stabbed. But you know what I mean? If these characters got stabbed the same way Sydney did in 4, you wouldn't be worried at all. At all, you wouldn't care because it's not going to hurt them. And I want to isolate that problem. So there's that. Let me read this super chat. I know I just got one. And then I want to talk about the Mindy thing. If they were trying to frame Sam, why attack her in public? Yep. I think okay, I think I can work this into the Mindy thing. And thanks, Alex, buddy. I appreciate it. Okay, so the Mindy attack, and I'm going to get to Alex's point because I'm going to try to connect them. So Mindy's attack was so weird, and you guys let me know in the chat what you think. Mindy's attack was so weird because from a movie, you needed to see it. We needed to see it because Mindy is a fictional character in a movie. So you have to know what happens to her. She can't just literally disappear. You know what I mean? She can't disappear. You have to show it. She's a main character. So you have to show this train sequence to us sitting in the theaters. We have to see it. The movie, the world, they don't need to see that. So the fact that Mindy doesn't die there is pure cowardice. What's the word? It's cowardly. Completely. They were afraid to kill her, and I think they were afraid to kill Chad. They should have killed one of them. Like, again, you have to kill one. They didn't kill either. I really think they were too afraid, for whatever reason, to kill Mindy. Maybe because they thought it would be like Randy, public place, killed kind of in front of everybody, but not so, right? Like, it's got the parallels. But hopefully you guys see what I mean. If you're in the film, if you're these characters, Mindy dying there doesn't change anything. Ethan is done. Like, the whole thing's over at that point. So Ethan books it to the theater. Quinn is already there. Ethan goes, and they reveal themselves. You don't need to have Mindy alive. Mindy can be dead because you're not trying to fool anybody with Ethan. That's it. I think I just walked because I want to make a video on this, so I'm trying to walk myself through it. You're not trying to fool anybody with Ethan from the time they get split up on. So when Danny pulls them in and they are separated, and it's Ethan and Mindy, from that point to the end of the movie, there's no reason in the film to give Ethan an alibi. There's no reason to make him seem like it's not him. The only reason there is for us, because they still don't want us to know that Ethan is one of the killers. So what must they do? They must make Ethan innocent. How do you do that? You attack Mindy, you have Ethan save her, which saves Ethan, only to have him reveal himself 5 minutes later. It's probably maybe a little bit longer. Do you know what I mean? That's what I've really located as the biggest problem, because Mindy should die there. In the film, these masterminds, these people that are doing it, Mindy should have died there. There's no reason, because also Detective Bailey literally says that when they're done, they're going to go and they're going to make sure that she dies in the hospital, and Gail. So why didn't you just kill her in the first place? There's zero reason why she couldn't, like, she should have died. And the only reason she didn't die is because the only reason she didn't die is because you had to make Ethan seem innocent. So you had to make him basically save her. But you didn't. You didn't, because in the movie, it doesn't matter. You could tell us that Ethan is the killer right there. It wouldn't change anything except for the reveal. So I really don't understand that. And so, connecting it to Alex's question, to frame Sam, I think the reason this is different to me is because I'm trying to think back to all the other attacks, say, in the past movies. Because you could say, well, why does Stu attack Sydney in roughly the first half, let's say, of 1, right? Like, if he kills her, it's over. So, I mean, he smashed her head on the ground. He raised the knife, like he was going, like it looked like he was going to kill her, and she escaped. Would he have stabbed her there? Because if he stabs her, doesn't the whole plan fall apart? The only time something like this happens in these Scream movies is when they're attacking the main, final girl-like characters. Because normally if they attack other characters, they kill them. Like, they're there for a reason. They're there to kill them, and they accomplish that goal, and they get out. They never attempt to do something and fail unless it's against, say, Sydney and all that kind of stuff, which helps, I think, right? But for this one, you're kind of right. Like, why? I don't think, I'll say this, if they're trying to frame Sam, why attack her in public? I think the idea was probably to kill Tara there and leave Sam and make sure that you weren't caught. If anything, because if somebody sees it happening, maybe let's say, then you could have one of Ethan, Bailey, or Quinn. They could rat her out. You know what I mean? You could say, well, she had an accomplice. Like you'd say she was one of them and another Ghostface was another. You know what I mean? That's the only thing I can probably think of for that framing thing. Either they expected nobody to see them attacking Tara in that moment, or even if they were seen, the plan was probably to leave Sam alone. And that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think they ever really cared about going after, because was Sam really ever attacked, right? They went after other people except for Sam. So that's one thing. So let's go back up. I do want to talk about the issue of 8 survivors, 7 in the movie, and then Sydney. I want to talk about that, but I want to get to any more comments or super chats or anything. Let's see. Sam's performance was so nuanced with her facial expressions, quick temper, etc. Amazing to see her growth. Yeah, I think Melissa acted better. Like, I'm just going to say it. I don't know what she did. I think she acted better, and then she was definitely given she was given more range to work with. They probably told her to, like, reel it in 5, and she was told to, like, let it out in 6. But I also think she just literally, as Melissa Barrera, not as Sam, as Melissa, she took it to a new level, like definitely a new level. I watched the Still Breathing, the Netflix show, and she was okay in it. She wasn't great, but she definitely wasn't bad. So again, like, I've been rooting for her to, like, take it up a notch, and I got nothing negative to say about her or her character. Like, I loved her character. I thought she was phenomenal. Really have nothing negative. I'm dead serious, which is nuts. I just noticed I didn't see a voice changer. Yeah, I think some of that stuff was them jumping the gun. Like, how did Sam actually talk to Bailey at the end with the Ghostface thing? Did that really make sense? Not really, but I'll give it to him. That's a small thing. I'll give it to him. The gore made me sad. I'm just not a blood and guts person, but it was done well with how they did it. Jennifer, I'll be honest. So I was told, like, what we saw, right? We saw the headlines over and over and over again. Most gory. The gore took it up a notch. I really didn't think it was bad at all. Like, the dismembered body in the fridge was something. They showed, like, guts a few times. Anika's, and I always called her Anika, and then they say Annika, which my wife said, well, Anakin, like in Star Wars. I'm like, oh my God, it's spelled the same way, so it does make sense. Her face was pretty gross, but it was pretty similar. The face that when she hits the trash thing, very similar to Amber's face when it's burnt off. Very, like, looks like the same kind of prosthetic. So, to be honest, and I hate gore. I hate it. I can tolerate it in Scream movies, but, like, I'll never see a Terrifier movie or anything like that. I'm not there for that, right? But I thought creative attacks and kills, and it definitely wasn't more gory. Like, it wasn't a whole new level that we've never seen, at least for me. I was totally fine with it. When Samara Weaving, what's her name, Laura? When Laura dies in the beginning, I was like, oh, because I was told the beginning's, like, really gory. I was like, that's a normal attack in a Scream movie. So I was kind of thankful because I didn't want gore, like, over the top. And what I mean by that, I just don't. It's not a gore fest. I'm not there to see a Terrifier movie or something like that. Scream movies, yes, they had, like, the Drew Barrymore thing. They had Olivia in 4. But they've never been, like, insane. They're not, like, rated X, right? Like, you know what I mean? They're not, like, that far. And so it sounded like it was going to be, and it absolutely wasn't. So that makes me happy. I had a feeling that Quinn's death was a fake out since we didn't see... Yeah, as soon as we didn't see Quinn's death in person, I knew in that moment she was in on it, for sure. Roman had a fake death, too. He did. I think... his was probably more like, in the moment, I think his was maybe more believable. Anyone else feel like Danny's going to be a Ghostface in 7? He seems so suspicious. No, I think he'll die in 7. Bro, Chad and Tara had me straight. How do you say that? Chesson? I don't know what that means. I love those two, though. Someone said the movie was bland. Not at all. The third act was rushed and had a lame reveal. Yeah, and again, I'm not going to change like how I talk or how I treat you guys, the respect and all that stuff. I stand very firmly on you believe what you want. I'll believe. I hate the most when people just tell me, I got like one comment on that in my review. How much money did Paramount pay you to like make this review? And it's like, what a stupid comment. Like, do I look like somebody who's been paid off? That really? I talked pretty negative. Like, I like 5, but I talked plenty negatives about it, right? My point is, you can think whatever you want. But, yeah, I mean, there are people saying, it was very bland or I think the one thing I'll agree with was this wasn't that much of a different Ghostface. The brutalness was more in the kills, how they killed, the amount of stabs that they did, the relentlessness of Ghostface. That was the difference. But he wasn't really all that different, Ghostface. You know what I mean? It wasn't all that different. But again, like you can think whatever you want. That's always been my way of going about it. Just don't like call me. Well, you can call me out if I like do something stupid, but don't tell me like I was bought off or anything. Like, come on. You know what I mean? I love it when I'm told that with like a game review. Oh, you were bought off. Are you serious? Firstly, do I look like I have a lot of money? No. Secondly, you can't really like, I talk how I want to talk. You know what I mean? Chad was hanging in there. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe he lived. If they made the dad the psychologist, I think they avoid a lot of plot holes. If they make the dad... Well, but I think you needed him to... Yeah, I get what you're saying. You needed Bailey to be a cop so you could have the shrine, right? Because there's no way you get all that evidence. And there's also no way you can do the Quinn fake body double thing that he said that he did. He covered up a lot of it, right? Like that was the whole thing. And he also set a lot of things up. I think as a cop, you're able to do that. As a psychologist, you're not. So I think I agree. I don't think he needed to be a cop, but he did need to be a cop for what they were doing at large. Like, if they didn't do the shrine, then I don't think he needed to be the cop. But because they did the shrine, you know what I mean? It all kind of connected. Stu also has a fake death. Stu lives, baby. I love the part when Bailey called Sam and Tara and lied about Kirby. I was shocked. Yeah, like I said, I kind of believed it in the moment. Like I was willing. Like I definitely knew Bailey. Like come on, at that point Bailey is in on it. But I wanted to like give it to him. I was like, all right, like maybe would they actually go nuts and have Kirby flip the switch? Like. We were told from Melissa Barrera even said that, right? Like, will she or did like what side is she on, right? There was an interview she talked about Hayden, and so it kind of fit, like it kind of made sense that oh man, they maybe really are making Kirby seem suspicious. But again, I believed it to a point that I wanted to give the movie it, like all right, I'll follow you along, let's see what you're gonna do with it, right? To kind of make somebody suspicious, but also it's like yeah, but she just wouldn't. like you're not going to have a past survivor turn. It's just not it would make people so mad, I think. Like I think it's a wrong move from like a character perspective anyway, but I also think they are terrified that if they ever did that, we would destroy them, and we should destroy them if that was the case. See, I'm not paid off. Okay. Hey Alex, what do you think about the ladder scene? Okay, so I think I'll have to like rewatch all of them, but no joke. When I finished my review last night, Christy, my wife, who loved it. My wife is not a big Scream person at all. I've honestly kind of forced her to get into the franchise. I've watched the movies. She's watched them reluctantly. Like she's not that into it. She loved it. She loved 6. So, and I had said, let me throw this out there. Let me say this, and I'll get to the ladder. For as many I know we're talking about some of the issues with 6. I think if you show somebody who has never seen a Scream movie, I think if you show them 6 and you say this is a modern day Scream movie, I think you got them. Yes, there's plot holes. Yes, the ending is rushed and a little messy. But if you show someone off the streets, they're a horror fan, they've never seen a Scream movie, and you show them this one, not 5, not 4, not 3, not 2, maybe 1. You know, I think you show them 1 and say, this is about as good as it gets. This is Wes Craven at his peak. This is an amazing final girl. This is a great cast of characters. Like, you show them that. But I think if you show somebody in 2023 a Scream movie, period, and you say this is a Scream movie, I think you show them 6, and I think they like it. I think they say, okay, all right, I'm in. Like, cool deaths, cool characters, emotion, over the top kind of stuff. Like, I think you I think I said twists, right? Like, I think you'll get them. So maybe that's controversial, but I would show any new fan Scream 6 before I even show them Scream 5. I don't even think I need to show them Scream. You know, like, yes, I think you need to see 5 before you see 6, but I may show a brand new person 6 first and say, this is better than 5. So don't even, if you want a movie, this is the movie. But the ladder scene, well, the reason I say that, and the reason I say 6 is one of my favorites, the ladder scene is it's peak. Is that a phrase people use? It's so good. The ladder scene, and it's not just the ladder. I mean, honestly, I would say it's when they're sitting at the table even. Like, when they go to the table, I think Sam starts off by somewhat crying, right? And Tara talks to her. I think that's the scene where Tara says, like, hey, to give you some credit, we're not in your situation. Like, we're having a tough time, but you're dealing with something totally unique. And, like, I'm sorry about that. Think it was that line, right? And then Mindy and Chad come in, and they put the hands together, and then Sam talks about Danny. I think that was really a scene we don't have that often in Scream movies. Flat out honest, that kind of family dynamic, and there was a couple of those scenes throughout the movie. I love that scene. That scene is underrated. Then you have the Quinn, and, she falls. Oh, like I said, the Danny thing, when Danny sees Ghostface and he's screaming at him, I loved it. It was a little funny, but it was also very tense because it's like he's got to get Sam's attention, right? So I love that. And then you have the attack, and, like, I wanted Anika. Dang it, I said it again. When I go too fast, I forget how to actually pronounce her name. Annika. I really wanted her to live. I thought, again, limited scenes. She's in, like, 4 scenes, but I thought she crushed it. Devin, in every one of them. I thought she did so good. So I want her to live. And as soon as, he slices Mindy, and then she grabs him, and it's like, oh, why would you do that? Just run away. And then, he chokes her, picks her up, and stabs her. I'm like, oh, well, that explains why she can't cross the ladder, because she's dying. And but even when, like, she's sitting on the bed, and Mindy and Sam are holding the door, and then she says something like, think more positive, or be more positive. Like, she says something still kind of, like, funny in the moment. So I mean, she's such a good actress, and she's such a good character. And then the ladder itself, they made Sam's crossing much more tense than I thought it, because Sam's going to make it. But they still made it tense. And then Mindy went rather quick. Like, I thought Mindy's, like, everything happened so quick in this movie, but I thought Mindy's would be a little bit longer. Like, it would feel longer. It felt very quick. And then Annika, and it's like, oh. But the ladder shaking and flipping lasted a long time. And it was so tense. It's like, just give me your hand. Just take a couple steps forward. But you really can't, right? You got to, like, maintain your balance. I loved it so much. So much. And I felt so, like, when she dies, I felt so bad. I think that's one of the weaknesses people are kind of calling out. Mindy feels bad, and then, like, 10 minutes later, she reverts back to her normal self when she's known Annika for, like, 6 months, right? And they're dating and all that stuff, and she just doesn't care. That's definitely another weakness. But if I'm going to pretend like that didn't happen, in the moment, they acted exactly how I would want them to act, So I love that. I love that. So there's the ladder scene. I think we'll talk about that ladder scene for years to come. Truly, I think the ladder sequence is one of the best 10-minute, is it even 10 minutes? I mean, it went so fast I'd have to, like, time it. From when they're at the dinner table to when it's the next day and, they're talking at the ambulance and stuff, that 10-minute span was one of the best sequences in any Scream. Yes, like, you can judge the before and after and how they act and stuff, but just that 10-minute frame, I think, was top 5 in the, like, what do you want to give it to? The ending of 1, the beginning of 1. Is there anything else in 1 that's better than that ladder sequence? I don't know, 2. There's a couple, like maybe you can come up with a couple in each film. So it's probably in it's definitely in the top 10. I think it's better than maybe anything we got in 5. Again, I've never been so hot on 3. I think it's better. The ending of 3 is incredibly good. So I think that would be better. But I would put this in like a top 5 or 7 of like the best sequences in any. I think it's better than like the CC thing in 2, which is incredible. That's an incredible. I love the call. I love the chase. I love her death. I felt sad, but this is much better than it. So at least in my opinion. Remember, when I talk confidently, I'm just talking for myself. So yeah. I can't believe there were 5 killers. So good. I think, so you're counting Sam then? If you're counting Sam, you got to be careful. If you count Sam, you have to count Tara and Kirby. So then there'd be 8, or the 7. So you got to be careful who you count. Oh, dear God, I just scrolled. Okay. Jill is the best kept secret. When Quinn was dead, I knew it was so fake. I called Quinn, had a feeling her dad was going to be it as well. Didn't suspect Champion, though, and honestly wish it was Segura instead of him. Yeah, I called Ethan. I think Ethan was the easiest, even in the TV spots and trailers. I thought it was Ethan like 2 months ago. So I would say Ethan was my easiest. Friday the 13th Part 8 references. Yep. Not going to lie, I thought Gale and Kirby could be Ghostfaces. I love the Gale scene. Maybe we can talk about that later. I thought the Gale scene was phenomenal. So good. A lot of her scenes were really good. I would have liked Kirby as a red herring more if they would have had her be more into the conspiracies about Sam being a killer and play that into that at the end. Yeah, you're right. Because here's the thing, like Ethan mentions it right early on. Ethan says, and there's also those, and then Tara says, like, don't you effing dare like talk about that stuff. So they already planted the seed. That they planted a couple seeds in that in the requel talk part 2 that they had. They planted in that Ethan is somewhat interested in those online theories. They planted that because he said it. And then Quinn, they planted Quinn and her dad because she literally says, well, my dad's a cop, so that makes him and I good. And then Mindy says, no, that doesn't, that puts you like higher up there. So that immediately they shine a spotlight. Annika, it was never going to be her. So, like, what would possibly be her reason for doing this? She also probably weighs 70 pounds soaking wet. So there's no way, right? So that was a kind of a clever. I liked, a lot of people I've seen in my comments of the review, a lot of people don't like Mindy. I don't think she's, like, the best. But the requel talk, part 2, explaining the rules, I thought it was better than 5. Than her talk in 5. I loved it. I loved her monologue. And I love that she's so close. Because, like, Randy got it, right? Like, Randy knew who the killers were, and he nailed it. But Mindy gets very close, but she doesn't nail, right? She kind of has doubts. She puts people on her list, but sometimes she's wrong, right? If she suspects the wrong person. So she's always very close, but she's never exact, whereas Randy was. So I like it's a parallel, but she's a little bit different, right? But I, like when she gets stabbed and she's like, damn it, I was wrong again, and she's like bleeding out. I love that a lot. You know, I don't think she's the best character in 6 by a lot. I think a lot of people are better than her, but she's not bad. She's really good. There's just others that are better. You know, that's all. So Radio learned from all the past Scream mistakes, or at least most of them. Yeah, I think they learned from some. I don't think they learned like how to make a perfect Scream movie, though. I'll tell you that. I really like the idea of making Gale a killer. It's never going to happen, so I'm happy they addressed it in her phone call. Yes. What a great, the Sydney references I thought were incredible. Gale telling Sam to tell Sydney, tell Sydney he didn't get me. I mean, come on. That is perfect. That's the way you do it, right? So, and then, yeah, addressing that little thing, right? Where it's like, Ghostface says, like, Dewey was never going to be it. He was a fan favorite. Sydney, she was the final girl. Like, she was never going to, but you could have been a killer. And it's like, man, that was, yeah, meta. That was a little bit of like, let's talk to the fans a little bit that are watching it. I thought that was genius. So, I didn't find who the killers was. I need to see it again tonight. Yeah, I may see it again in theaters. The acting and the screams were awesome too. Yeah. I think, like in the early reviews before the, like the last Friday, this past Monday and stuff, there were a lot of people that said like the acting was kind of all over the place. I'm led to believe they're talking about Ethan personally, or maybe Dermot Mulroney. Because I don't really know like who was a weak actor. Samara was like weird, but I think like they crafted a character. Like she definitely was a weird character, but I think that was like the point. So who actually acted not great? I think Tony Revolori did a good job. Melissa, again, we're not even going to go there because I think she was the best one. Jenna was just as good. Mason was really incredible. Like, who was the shaky? Because I saw that there's like shaky dialogue and shaky acting. Who was the bad acting? I think it was probably they're probably talking about Jack Champion. I have to believe that. So let's see. At first, I thought Ethan attacked Mindy, but now I'm thinking it was Quinn. It was Quinn. Bottom line, this movie gave us what we wanted. Brutal kills, chase scenes, more killers, return characters. Yeah, I think this movie gave us way more of what we wanted compared to like the weakness. Like again, does the good outweigh the bad? I think they really tried to give us a movie that we would like. Like just give fans like a wild ride. I truly believe they wanted to do that, and I think they did it. And in that, you're definitely going to have issues. They did. I mean, it is sad that they didn't make a perfect, a perfect film. Everything just worked. Like you know what I mean? But like, I don't know. I get it. I don't want to give them too much credit, or I don't want to like give them too many. Like me, I love to talk about the negatives, and I'm never going to like forget about them. But I'm willing to give them a lot of leeway simply because yes, there's issues, and we talked about them. There's big issues in this movie. But they gave us so much, and it was such a different kind of I really feel like Scream 6 is maybe the most unique of any of the Scream. Even though it was a lot of copycatting from 2, I just feel like there was somebody who said earlier, or maybe in my review, it's a lot of, and it was a negative, it's a lot of random good scenes kind of stitched together in odd ways that make the movie not so good. Like that was the gist of the comment. Even if that's true, which is just fine, like you can believe that. It still isn't. It still is really good scenes, maybe like poorly, sewn together. But like you still got those. So it's still fun. It's still an epic ride. It just maybe doesn't make too much sense because it needs to make sense because that's what we've come to expect in Scream movies. We want it to make sense, and some of the things didn't. And that is a weakness. For sure it's a weakness, and you need to hold them accountable because if you can have something like this movie in 7, but everything works, well, then it's maybe a perfect Scream movie. But it wasn't. You know what I mean? So I don't want to ever dismiss the negatives, but I do want to make it clear. I think you're going to have those when they did something like this. It's so fast. It happens so quickly. They're doing a lot of stuff in really short time. You're going to make some mistakes. And I think some mistakes were a lot bigger than others, right? Like if you kill Mindy and you fix that problem I was saying earlier, which is, in my opinion, the biggest problem of the movie, if you kill Mindy, I think we're good. Like, I think I would really, the idea that they're afraid to kill people, like even the Chad thing, if you kill Mindy in the train, I will forgive you for Chad. The reason I'm willing to say that was a big negative that I'm not a fan of is they did it to both of them. They had Chad come back from a 20 stabbing outing, and they were too afraid to kill. When the Mindy thing, as we talked about earlier, the Mindy thing doesn't make sense. It doesn't impact the rest of the film. You could have killed her, and there's no reason she should have lived. So, but I would have given them either of them if you killed the other. So if Chad stayed dead and Mindy happened, I'm willing to give them a little bit more because they at least killed one of them. The issue is everybody survived, and then you added Danny. And you need to add Nev back, potentially, maybe, possibly, for 7, right? So you have way too many people. So you need to kill. I told my wife, Danny, he's going to die. There's no way he lives. Even though the idea that Sam can marry her person, like Sydney maybe marry, but I don't think you can have both of them happy. So like Sam marries Danny, Tara marries Chad. Like, would they both get their partners? I doubt it. So I think I think you probably kill Danny. I think you kill one of Chad or Mindy, and I think you probably kill one of Tara or Sam. So I think you leave 7, and maybe even Kirby. So you leave 7. Sydney's still alive. Gail's still alive. Sam or Tara, Mindy or Chad. And then you can get, and then Kirby would be gone. Yeah. So you'd get down to 4. Instead of 8, you'd kill half of them. I think you could do that, which would be nuts. And how do you make a trailer? If you kill 4 survivors, how do you make a trailer? Because you're probably going to show something stupid if you know what I mean? There's not a lot of ways around that. Let's see. I'm incredibly happy Chad lives. However, that dude should not have survived. Yeah. I'm willing to let it slide because I love Chad. Same. And that's kind of where I'm at too. Yeah. And just so you guys know, I mean, if you're looking for like, hey, when are you going to read my comment? I'm like probably 45 minutes behind. Just so as I go off. The Chad Tara kiss felt like I was watching Twilight, very unnecessary. Really, I liked it. I liked it. I thought it made sense. We've seen kisses before in this, haven't we? I think it made sense. Am I stupid? I didn't think Ethan was the killer. I thought he was just a red herring. No, I mean, that's fair. I don't think you're stupid. I think, everybody kind of sees things differently. I thought he was the killer a couple months ago, but that doesn't mean anybody's less or more smart, for sure. The acting in the ladder scene was phenomenal from everybody. Everybody. My list, 1, 6, 2, 4, 5, 3. I think I'm almost exactly your list, Jason. I think that's pretty much my list, too. I think Ethan was the weakest Ghostface yet. What do you think? I do think, other hand, think Detective Bailey was one of my favorite killers. Ethan was probably, as the reveal to the death, Ethan was probably the weakest, with Quinn just barely above him. I don't think Quinn was very good either at the reveal. Again, I like to give bonus points because I try to take it one step further and say, okay, I want to give those characters credit for the phone calls and their attacks. So, like, Ethan would then get credit for the Annika ladder. That was him. Is it really him? I mean, technically in the movie it is, right? But, I mean, it's a stunt double. Jack Champion's not there. It's Ghost. It's almost, you know what I mean? Like, you separate Ghostface from the actors. It's kind of just what we do as human beings. But I do like to kind of give them bonus credit for that. So, like, Ethan would get bonus credit because the ladder thing from Ghostface's perspective was awesome. And then Quinn gets Gale. So you have to think on the phone is Quinn. And it was a great phone call. And the attack was really cool as well with Quinn. So, by the way, why doesn't she have a mark on her face? Because of the cast iron skillet hitting her across it. You know what I mean? So I like to kind of throw those in as well. But if you're just talking about when we see them, the actual human beings, yeah, I think Ethan is the weakest of the now there's 12, so he's probably dead last. And then Detective Bailey, I liked him. I liked him more than the people that say, his acting wasn't that good. I don't really agree with. So I definitely, I think, liked him more than other people. I don't think he was incredible. I think out of like the lunatics that we've seen, he definitely was weak. I would say like, you think of like Billy and Stu when they like flipped, right? You think of Mrs. Loomis, even Mickey to an extent. Roman's kind of weak, I'd say. The dialogue between Roman and Sydney at the end is amazing, but I don't think Roman is like that psychotic like in that moment. Jill is nuts. Charlie really isn't. And Richie and Amber are both really good when they're nuts. So, yeah, if I were to compare Dermot or Detective Bailey when they flip and they go kind of crazy, he was, I would say, probably a weaker-ish element. I did like, I'll tell you one thing that kind of stuck out to me. When they tell Sam, you killed our brother, and she looks back at Bailey, and she says, you're his family. And he looks at her for a couple seconds, and then he says, yeah. The way he says it is like he feels sorry, not just for the family, but like he almost feels sorry for Sam. Does that make sense? Because he kind of flips back and forth, or switches back and forth in that final sequence between being crazy and then not. Like when he's on the phone with her before he dies, he's pretty kind of normal, like he's not psychotic, but he goes back and forth. When he says yeah to her, it's one word. It's one word, but it's his face. Like I get a little bit of sadness from him and he's not that crazy like in that scene. I really like that. I'm really like trying to lean into the acting side there, but I really like that. It's one word, it's one scene, so I can't like give him too much bonus points just for that. But I did like that. I did like that moment. Loved it. 2 points. Kirby did slay, D. Kirby did slay. Loved it. 2 points for me. Opening scene was great, but Jason's death should have been slower and gorier. It would have made it perfect, and Chad's survival was far too fetched. They should have hurt him less. Yeah, I mean, that too. Like, just don't stab him as much, and you would have been okay. Melissa can act. Watch Vita, the TV show. I should. I believe it now. I believe Melissa can act. Maybe this is back when I was talking about. This is how far back I am. I'm reading the comments when I was talking about Melissa's acting 2 hours ago. Kirby kicked butt in her return. Yeah, I love Kirby. Was great. This felt Disney Scream, to be honest, borderline extreme camp. Really? I don't know. I don't think so. What's WCE? Melissa WCE. Seen it, was amazing, great film, good way they went Ghostface was awesome. Sam was my favorite character by far. Chad was second. Think 6 made 5 a lot better, but 6 was so unbelievably good. You think 6 made 5 better because what? Maybe it helped Richie out a little bit. I could see it. I'd like to maybe go back to 5 and watch Melissa. Like one more, maybe watch 6 again, really take in Sam, and then go back to 5 and see if I can really for sure say it wasn't her fault. It's possible. Do you think Danny will be in 7? Yeah, I do. Because he's going to be linked with Sam. They're going to be dating, right? So I think he'll follow. The issue for 7 is going to be to get everybody together. Because there's so many of them. You have to, and what's kind of crazy is if they do only like a 1-year jump, they'd still be in college. So they'd have to kind of pull a Sydney thing where they have to leave college and go into hiding, but then for some reason all get back together. Like that's what they're gonna, because unless they take 3-4 years off, right? Unless Scream 7 is in 3 years from now, then you could say organically they're out of college. But if it's 1 year later, then you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. So you have to pull them out of college, I think. And you have to put them somewhere, and then you have to get... Now, Kirby's easy because she literally said, call me, and I'll come. Gail may kind of be the same idea, because I think Gail would do it too. And then you have to kind of rewrite Sydney that she's okay coming out of hiding this time, but she wasn't okay coming out of hiding in 6. So the hardest part initially for 7 is going to have to be getting them all together. You're going to have to figure that out. Sam was my favorite in 5 and 6, but this performance was just otherworldly in 6. Wow. Mindy was trying too hard to be funny, corny, small role. I have to watch it again. I liked what I remember. I hope Melissa is taking her well-deserved victory lap. I hope she's like, look, I don't expect her to watch YouTube and watch no-names talk about her, but I hope she... It's tough because, like, do you want Melissa? Like, what would be best for Melissa Barrera as a person? Would you like her to know that people really didn't... Like, there were people that liked her. I think most people, at best, were kind of average on her in 5. So do you want her to know that, like, a lot of people didn't really like the performance or the writing or the character, but then in 6, you were, like, otherworldly, like, you were insanely good? Like, does that sound good to tell to somebody? Maybe, maybe not. But I mean, in reality, I hope Melissa somehow finds out. Maybe Paramount, maybe, executives and people like in the industry, I know in the gaming industry at least, they do watch. They keep an eye on influencers and people that talk online and stories that go around. I hope there's somebody from Spyglass or Paramount that kind of looks around the internet and says, hey, Melissa, like, people really liked you this time. They really did. I hope somebody tells her that because she does deserve, because I don't want them to go back. Like, don't make 7 like 5, make 7 an extension of 6, right? Because now we know she can do it. So if they had the guts to kill more people, this would definitely be my number 1. But now competing with the original. Yeah, that's true. I think I'd agree with that. I think Ethan is pretty similar to Richie throughout the movie, but Jack Quaid did it better. Yeah, I think I think the characters are close enough. I think Jack Quaid's a better actor. Detective Bailey was the most obvious, especially when he talked bad about Kirby. Yeah. Quinn did a great job. I like the reveal, but I love the motive. Good old-fashioned revenge. Yeah, and again, that's what I kind of go back and forth on. Like, it is just revenge. Like, I think the thing maybe some people are hung up on, which is okay, and I can get it, it's the whole family. So, like, Richie's whole family is very unstable. I guess that's kind of what they're, like, it has to be that's what they're going for because, like, Billy went nuts, but his dad didn't, but his mom did. So, like, it kind of ran through his blood into Sam, actually. But then for Richie, it's like, well, not only was Richie nuts, but he had a brother and a sister, they're psychos, and he had a dad who was insane. So, like, the whole family was... So, you just have to buy that. If you don't want to buy it, I get it, but you, like, have to. You know what I mean? To, like, make it work. You have to buy it. She felt good because she was almost dead. Who felt good? Oh, man, it's been so long. I can't. Watched Scream 6 last night. Not sure how I feel. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. The motive in the third act for me felt sloppy. Yeah, I think we can kind of all agree on that last part there. Wow, 3 Ghostface. Gail, okay, near cried. Yeah, the Gail, I was pretty close to tears with the Gail because I really was scared that Gail would die. Oh no, what if she kills Danny in 7 during her ghost phase? I think Danny would be a really good character for Sam to kill by accident. I think that makes a lot of sense. Okay. I'm going to try to skip to try to catch up, just see some of the biggest things. I think Billy was used much better in this film than in 5. I totally agree. Do you think Ethan was the weakest Ghostface? I do. I realized there were multiple scenes in the official trailer that were not in the movie. Several. Did he even say he's something different? Did Ghostface say I'm something different? Because I don't remember hearing it. Also, did Sam say anything about darkness following her there? Because I didn't hear that either. Those are 2 immediate things just off the top of my head. I'm trying to think, like, right now live. Is there anything else that was in it? Those 2 for sure. I don't think I'll have to maybe skip to the end of these comments if you guys remember. I don't remember hearing either of them say those things. Hope Sam and Stu are the killers in 7. I think Sam could be. The only way I buy Sam going Ghostface is if Tara dies. Okay, yeah, I could see. But the thing is, she was so close in 6. The thing that you have to remember that I'm really going to hold on to, and I think they did it purposely in the way they did it, at the end of 6, she does take the mask, and she's in a trance. Like, it's almost like the mask is calling to her, because I don't think things start to slow down, but I think the audio gets muted mostly, right? And it focuses on Melissa's face, and she looks down, and she opens the thing for it's almost like she forgot like, she was in a blur, and she took the mask, but she's, like, rubbing it, and she's staring at it, and it very much feels like she's in a trance. And then Tara says, "You coming?" And then Sam snaps out of it and drops the mask. So the reason I say that, she's so close. She's so close to doing it. But she gets stopped by Tara. And so I would say that probably does give more credibility to the idea that Tara dying would be the thing. Because if she loses Tara... In fact, Gail kind of set that up, right? Because didn't Gail tell Sam, like... You can still make a family even if it's just with one person. It doesn't even have to be your parents. It's just with one person. It's Tara. So if Tara dies, I think Sam loses her mind. You know what I mean? So I could see it. I could see Tara dying in 7 and Sam losing it, killing somebody on accident, going to jail, being stopped, whatever the situation may be. I could easily see that. And I think it could take losing Tara. But I think she's so close anyway that maybe you don't have to kill. Maybe Tara doesn't have to die. Maybe she'll do it anyway. Gail's scene was the best. Oh, OMG, I thought she was going to die. Same. Whereas I see all of the other Ghostface killers as individuals, these 3 feel like one single unit. When ranking my Ghostface killers. That's fair. Like, they all feel like they're kind of just one killer put together. Yeah. Seeing Sydney is out of this one. I'm glad Killer was connected to Sam, not Sid. Made more sense. despite the complete suspension of disbelief throughout the film. Yeah, it made sense to go for Sam, well, which is the theme. You know, she's the final girl. Did Annika slay her performance? She certainly did. She certainly did. Danny was wasted. He would have been a good choice for the villain. But they did that on purpose because he's the Derek. Like, I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it at all. Did Ethan even have any kills? Yeah, he did. I won't spoil it. In my opinion, he killed Annika. He killed the boyfriend of Quinn in the bathtub. And he was the one to stab Chad first. He was the one who stabbed him, and then they both double-teamed him. Those were his kills or attacks. He did, I think, the least. I think Quinn did a lot, and Bailey did quite a bit too. But I have the whole who killed who. I got it all right here on this. I made the video already. So, but yeah, Ethan did kill people. Chad has 20+ stab wounds in 2 movies now. Yeah, I think you need to kind of give him like a Dewey limp kind of injury for 7. Like I think these stabs have to impact him in some way. Who do you think could have been a better Ghostface reveal and why? Well, again, I think just what the movie was leading to, it didn't make sense for it to be anybody else. Like, I think Josh maybe would have done a cool monologue, but like, would it make sense for him to be the killer? Not really. You know what I mean? So I think these were the 3. Like, these kind of had to be the 3 killers. It's just it wasn't amazing. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So, yeah. Gail's hot boyfriend died, and she's like, man, OMG, muscles really didn't help at all. I kind of got the sense that she was just with him just to feel good about, like, losing Dewey. She just did that to do it. She didn't really care about him at all. That's truly what I believe. Where did Kirby disappear to in the shrine? Yeah, that was part of the thing to, like, make Kirby seem more suspicious, but it's like, where did she go? Maybe she, like, did, like, a perimeter check, and then she did get knocked out, right? So she went somewhere, and then weirdly, and then she got knocked out. So, the only kill he might have, yeah, I mean, I could read you guys the who killed who, but I don't know. I want to keep it kind of like a secret for the video. I do think the therapist, Stone, I think that was Bailey. I think that was Detective Bailey. It's definitely my second. Wicked, what's up, buddy? Alex, is Roger L. Jackson's best performance as Ghostface? It was really, really good. I have one I'll always have a soft spot for. I like him in 2. 4, he's like so vicious. And I actually think his lines in 5 are really, really good. I'd say this is probably like a top 3 though. Like, I could probably put this above half the Scream movies, you know what I mean? For his lines. It was so satisfying watching Sam killing Bailey, especially in the Ghostface outfit. Agreed. I think Radio Silence needs to hire new writers duo for Scream 7. Yeah, but and that's okay. You know, if you want to think that, that's totally fine. I'll tell you, I just don't think it's gonna happen. You know, I think they're all kind of like together. I think they're all together on this. During the latter scene, I'm surprised about how much I cared about Annika. On one hand, I wanted her to live, but on the other hand, I wanted a dope kill, and we got that. Yeah, I think we got, again, like what made that so special is we got, I think, everything you would want from that scene. You got to care about her. You got a really brutal stabbing in on her first. You had tension with blocking the doors. You had an emotional thing with her and Mindy. You had tension with the ladder because it was already unstable. You had everybody crossing, and then you had her selling it. Like, Devin did such a good job of selling. I don't want to die. I was like, oh man, like that innocence, right? It's an innocence. She's young. I was really sad when she said that, and she said that on the ladder. You know, I don't want to die, and Sam's so close. I think they even touched hands at some point, right? But then she kind of slips. So it gave you everything. I really gave you tension, gave you the kill, gave you the lead up to the kill, which was also like a stabbing, gave you just like a full out, like, what in God's name is happening? Because everybody, like, all this stuff is happening at one time very quickly. It was a genius, honestly, like a perfect scene. And there's no continuity errors with anything, right? Like, everything really worked for that scene. So that was incredible. I agree, the day to night change. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't so much confusing as it just frustrated me because they already made that mistake in 5 and they did it again. So it's also clearly summertime. Yeah, in the park, because it is the summer, because they were filming from June to September. So no, I think Bailey is the person at the Bailey's at the bodega. I'll explain why in the video tomorrow. Okay. Scream 6 is just Scream 2, but remade and using Kevin's original script with 4+ killers. Yeah, it is kind of close. Biggest critique I have is the amount of survivors and unbelievably attacked to survival rate ratio, especially for Chad and Mindy. I also wish they stuck with Stu's relatives instead of Richie's. Oh, yeah, so you like Amber. You want Amber's family to do it instead of... oh, no, that wouldn't have been it, right? You had... I think it made sense for one of Amber or Richie's family to, like, seek revenge. Like, I think that did make sense. So, if it wasn't going to be Richie's family, it would have had to have been Amber's family. You know what I mean? The leak was Detective Bailey, then Ethan taking off the mask. Quinn was still masked. Oh, my God. So people didn't know it was people knew like 2-3 weeks ago that there was 3 killers, but they didn't know who the third was. Is that right? That's nuts. I wouldn't even have imagined being able to think that through. The who drew these line when talking about the sketches was telling, because if you look back at serial killers like Samuel Little, who drew their victims in prison. I'm honestly glad I didn't see the leaks. Loved the movie. Seen it last night at the fan event. Must say, the better of the sequels in my eyes. Yeah, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful I didn't see the leaks. Like, I'm dead serious. I did not know who it was. I very much thought, I predicted it like 2 days ago. I thought it was Detective Bailey and Ethan. I only thought there were 2 though. I really didn't think. I did say in that video that I wasn't sure why Quinn would die if Detective Bailey was a killer. So I think I was right there. Like, I was saying it in the video, and I couldn't take a couple steps back to say, no, dummy. Like, maybe there's 3 of them this time, moron. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think that far. But I did say in that video just like 2 days ago, well, it doesn't make sense that Quinn would die, so who kills Quinn? Like, does Ethan kill Quinn and Bailey gets mad at him? Because, like, why would you kill Quinn then? So I should have seen that coming. In the moment in the movie, because we didn't see Quinn in person die, right there, it snapped. And I was like, okay, there's 3 of them. It's not just the 2. So I did. But I didn't think Ethan was a relative. I didn't think he was a son or the brother. So my throat is starting to My throat's starting to hurt. I want to try to go maybe like a 2-hour stream. We'll keep going. Again, if you want any pressing matters read, the super chats are the fastest way. Or, by the way, I should probably promote this now. If you guys haven't seen already, we have a Discord server. The link's in the description. It's the first thing you'll see if you do read more. In the Discord server, or in the description, go to the Discord server. You can talk about Scream with the group. I have a Scream spoiler chat specifically for spoilers you can go and talk to. It's free to join, all that kind of jazz. And, it's a really nice place. So go join it in the description if you haven't already. I talk about other things there, but Scream is one of them. What else? Any other promotions I have? Oh, my Twitter's gone. So I hope to get that back soon, eventually, but it's not there. Just subscribe, like, all that stuff. Okay, let's keep going. Make sure you leave a like, though. I haven't looked at the likes. Oh, yeah, guys, leave a like, please. I see, Scream people, for whatever reason, you viewers, Scream live streams, not just for me, but for other people don't, they forget to leave, or a dislike. You can leave a dislike as well, but people forget to leave likes on Scream live streams. But please do that. Okay. The leaks show Ethan and Bailey. The fact that none of the main characters die is getting kind of annoying, except for Dewey. Yeah. A few miserable people spoiled the 3 names in people's videos. Not cool, even though it's pretty obvious. Yeah, I think, like, looking back, I'm pretty sure it happened to me. Pretty sure people spoiled it in my videos. I didn't look. So I think somebody told me. Like the first or second day that somebody spoiled it in my comments. And it's like, and I felt bad. Like, I always feel bad. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to look. People are free to comment what they want as long as it's not like swearing at me or calling me the worst names imaginable. Like, if you respect me, I'll respect you. But I'm not gonna police spoiler comments on my chat, or my comments, I should say, because like then I would see them. So I just let them go. I gave it to people to like make sure that they were doing what they needed to do. The leak I read said Mindy and Danny died. Oh, wow. It's a fake leak. Definitely loved the opening, but the killers was definitely nothing special. Disappointed in that. The way the 2 Ghostfaces tag team chat. I like that. I like that. People need to stop being critical of this movie. Well, again, like I've said in the past, it's okay. It's okay too. I don't like to shy away from negativity or the negative things of it, but no, I'm glad I liked it. I'll tell you that. But people are free to say what they want. I also, like I said earlier, I love the fact that we can just talk. I love the fact that I can read your comments, not be afraid of. I wanted to do a live stream so badly this past week before the movie came out. I really wanted to do a stream, but it only takes one person to write in the chat. Bailey and Ethan. It only takes one person to do it, right? So I was terrified, and I didn't do it. But I really want. I've missed streaming with you guys, specifically you all, with these Scream live streams, because we did a couple of them before the leaks. I did like 3 of them, and they did great. You guys liked it. I loved it, and I wanted to do more. So I felt really bad that we couldn't do that. That's why, again, I'm going to stream now. I'm going to stream Monday by myself, and then next week, sometime later next week, I want to get other people, and we'll do a group content creator stream. So I want to give you guys all the content now because we can. And hopefully we find out about a Scream 7 relatively soon. Let's just go. Let's just go for it, Come out next year. Let's get this done. And see what happens after that, I guess. Chad surviving all those stabs, like what the hell? They pretty much told you who the killer was when Quinn and Bailey both talked about their dead brother/child randomly. Yeah. Some people have survived worse than what Chad got. I don't know. Has anybody survived worse than what Chad got? Again, it's more like they're just not deep cuts, I suppose, that Chad got, but they're pretty bad. Courtney Cox did an amazing job with her scene. I almost cried. Yeah, I felt emotion, like when she saw Dewey's kind of shrine in the shrine, and she got emotional. Like, I loved that scene. I thought that scene was awesome. She did great. Dewey went through the same thing that Chad went through. It's a new generation. He's obviously the modern-day Dewey. Right, but as I said earlier in the stream, I know I'm so far behind on comments. This is probably from half an hour ago. Like I said, though, Dewey's attacks and the damage done to him are so much tamer. Chad got obliterated much worse than Dewey did. And so that's where I kind of draw the line. But the TV had glass sticking out of it. I thought Annika was going to survive by falling on garbage bags in the dumpster. Oh, that would have been hilarious. They're making Chad a new Dewey, but Chad is not even close when it comes to charisma. I think they're making him Dewey in more of a protector role / like he's a love interest to Tara, maybe in the same way. Well, not in the same way, but in a parallel to Dewey with Gale. But I don't think Chad is literally Dewey, because that goofy kind of charisma isn't there. But I don't think it's supposed to. I don't think anybody is necessarily like a 1-to-1 Dewey replacement. You know what I mean? So my wife and I were talking about it. We think Sam and Tara are both halves of Sydney. Like, Gale is still Gale. Chad in some ways is Dewey. And I think Sam and Tara combined are Sydney. Does that make sense? That's what I think. I wish we would have seen more of Danny. Yeah, he was underused, but he was great in every scene. So I definitely will. I'll take what we got, Can't exactly say that because Ethan's jaw was stabbed very deep. I don't know what that comment was for. Maybe the gore thing. That was maybe the most gory, but it actually wasn't. I thought it would be a lot worse for like the gore stuff. Loved the movie. Watched it Wednesday night. Kind of worked out that he was Richie's father when Quinn said near the beginning about his brother. Yeah, it all fit together for sure. I can't believe they all survive again. They did the casting well for Richie's family. They actually looked like him. Yeah. This ghost face was not brutal. The only brutal parts were Annika getting flung off a ladder and the bodega scene. I think he really went after Gale, or I think Quinn really went after Gale, I'd say. And besides that, who else died? Jason was kind of stabbed quite a bit. He was stabbed a lot. Greg was his body was in different parts, so that was kind of brutal. And Mindy's attack was pretty tame. Chad was stabbed quite a bit. Stone was stabbed through the nose. I would say it was definitely more brutal, like for sure. I would say. I don't think it was as brutal as we thought it was going to be, but I do think it was more brutal, like for sure. Dewey needed to die in 5 to make it have stakes, right? I think this one needed somebody to die to make it continue to have stakes. I think it's more highlighted that nobody died or there was less people. Here's part of the reason. Mindy's speech. It's actually Mindy's speech. So Mindy's speech literally, and this is what they do, right? They have a speech, and it goes over the movie, and it predicts some things, and I guess it doesn't predict some things, and it's the rules that the movie is going to follow. And in her rules, she literally talks. She says one specific line. She says, higher death count. This movie would have a higher death count. It'd have more over-the-top things. I think she said something along that lines, right? She said dismemberment or, like, beheadings, which actually did happen because of Greg. But, like, how many people died? One. Well, like, Laura didn't even die from the group. So, like, do you count her? I guess I'll count her. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the bodega people. 7, 8. If you count the 2 bodega people. 8. Oh, and then the 3 ghost faces. 9, 10, 11. So there was 11 people who died in this film. That is slightly more than 5. But that is because there are 3 killers, and that is if you include Laura, who wasn't killed by them, and it's also if you include the bodega people, which were just cannon fodder, which is 2 different people. So if you eliminate all of them, you have probably the same death count, if not lower, than 5, and so on, so on. So yeah, it definitely did not have a higher death count. My throat is killing me. The new Kanye song just dropped. Who was at the bodega? I'm so glad that the main character survived because they can come back for 7 and be killed. As long as some of them die, right? Some of them have to die in 7. 3 ghost faces and all the main characters survives. Like, what? Chad's death scene was so emotional and impactful. They completely ruined it by having him survive. I agree. But I'd also say, now again, like I'm in the camp, because I've said it just a couple minutes ago, I'm in the camp that like he was attacked and like hurt way more than Dewey was. So we need to compare him to Dewey, but you also have to think like, okay, well, but Chad was destroyed way worse than Dewey was. But here's one thing that I'll say. The impact I do think is relatively the same. Tara screaming over Chad, who Chad tells her to go, is exactly the same as Dewey dying and telling Gale to go. He doesn't actually, I think he says like run or whatever. It's the same thing. So that impact was just as powerful. I think. So I think again, bringing Dewey back after the end of, at the end of 2, bringing him back, it's more believable to me now because the injuries compared to Chad really aren't that bad. But what I'm basically saying, who commented that? Fear the Phantom. I'm not like singling you out, but I guess what I'm saying is if we complain about the impact of losing Chad to bring him back, we need to complain about Dewey. I get that Chad was destroyed more, so it's definitely more unbelievable that he lived versus Dewey. I agree. It's more unbelievable. But the idea of a character's sacrifice with that emotional impact in the moment to then bring both back after, that's the exact same thing. So if we and I'm not saying you can't complain about Chad, but if you complain about Chad, I think you have to complain about Dewey in 2 as well. That's what I would say to that. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. But I do, like, I agree. I think Chad should have died. Like, maybe I should make that clear. And I said this earlier on the live stream. I think one of Mindy or Chad should have died, like, for sure. So I would have given Chad more if Mindy died. If Mindy already died, then Chad, I would say, all right, you can bring him. You know, it doesn't really matter. All right. Now I haven't caught up, but I'm now at the bottom here. So I'm seeing Quinn quoting Mickey with the line, "You didn't see this one coming, did you?" Was pretty cool to see. What did Jose say? I have to go all the way back. Bro, I agree. Ethan's acting was off too. Quinn's was not bad. They gotta do something different for the killer in 7, like not just some new character as a killer, some returning from previous movies. I mean, that would be different. Bringing back Stu, I assume, is what you're going for. Sam's hot boyfriend. I don't know. I really don't like the idea of 3 going to Hollywood because I think it's probably what's going to happen. I think, isn't there a theory of maybe like, I always say the word documentary, however you say. I do think that's very possible, right? Because that would be similar to 3 where they're making a movie, and in this one, they'd be making like a true crime thing. And then and that would be a way to bring back all the survivors. How do you get everybody back? Well, if you're making like a film telling the events of all these movies, if you bring them all back, then the killer's motive could simply be they want to be the ones to kill off all the survivors. That whole idea of like a killer that wants to just end all the survivors, like the lineage, I think that would really work for 7. Like, I think that should be the thing. I pegged the killer as Richie's father last year, but thought they would bring in Dennis Quaid for that. Would have been cool. It would have, but you would have seen it coming, right? I enjoyed the Chad and Tara kiss. It took them long enough. Agreed. I liked it. The dad cop was not a good actor. The reveal was definitely the weakest part of the movie, but everything else made up for it. I don't think he was like the greatest actor, and like I said, if you compare his kind of craziness, why is this camera? Oh God. My camera keeps doing some stupid stuff. I agree, like when he goes crazy, it's definitely not as strong as other people that went crazy. But I don't know if I would say he was. I think Jack Champion's not great. So I wish we got more screen time with Quinn. She was my favorite Ghostface, and I'm already seeing hate for her character for no reason. Liana was amazing. I like I said, I liked her scenes as Quinn. I think Ethan is the weakest Ghostface maybe we've ever had. I think Quinn would maybe be the second weakest Ghostface, but it's tough because like I'm not really willing to say she was bad in any way. I actually thought as the normal person Quinn, she was great. I think as a psycho, she was psycho. It wasn't like super over the top. It was nothing really special. It's not something that I think people are gonna, like in 20 years when you look back, you'll still be saying Stu and Billy. You'll still probably even be saying like Mrs. Loomis, or even Jill. I think Jill, and it probably is just that over the top thing. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't even have to be great. It's so over the top that you just kind of remember it. I don't think Quinn had that. But I think she was good. Like I don't think she was bad. I think her death was good. I think the brick to her face was good. Her weakness was that they killed her, and so she wasn't in the rest of the movie, right? She's very much framed as she's dead, so you can't do anything more with her. The most you do with her is that beginning, and that's everything. It's all on that, and then there's nothing after. So it's not her fault. It's not, in a way, the movie's fault. Does that make sense? Like, It's different than Amber, I would say. Does that make sense? It's different. I feel about her differently than I feel about Amber, because Amber was in the movie, but she also wasn't. Like, she was barely in it, but she was alive. She should have been in it more. Whereas Quinn, you couldn't actually do that. Quinn had to not be in the movie. So, do you think we're past Stu coming back? I think so. As I've said. Tara and Sam are not as smart as Sydney. No, but I think Sam is nuts. And she, like, if I saw, at this point, dead honest, if I'm looking at, like, the final girls and, like, we're in a room, if I were to say, like, who I'm afraid of taking me out, I say Sam. Like, I'd be terrified. Like, when Ethan was saying, like, you know, what are you going to do? Or whatever the line Ethan said to her before she stabbed him, like, 6 times. Why would you do that? Why would you egg her on? She's crazy, and she's going to destroy you. You don't stand a chance. Like, and I think Melissa deserves a lot of credit. I think her character, how it's written, deserves a lot of credit. Sam's, like, scary. She's formidable. When she tells Ghostface, I think she said, Bailey, when she says, like, to watch your back, right before the bodega, I think she says, like, to watch your back, and he says to watch yours, or whatever that line was. Like, I believe her. And like, the whole movie, I'm kind of thinking, don't mess with Sam, because Sam will mess you up. Well, you know, I don't like her I'm not saying, like, she's better than Sydney. I want to just give Melissa some credit for Sam's different. She's a different final girl. This is not a Sydney final girl. She's different. And she's different in a really cool way where it's like, do not mess with her. She's nuts. And she feels strong. Like, this is how you write, by the way, like, a strong female lead. It's not, oh, she's a girl, so immediately like her. Or she's a girl, she can't die, and everybody has to be in love with this character. No, she's a girl, and she's awesome. Just because, like, that's in her character. She's strong on purpose, but it makes sense. Like, the reasoning makes sense, right? Like, I think Sam as a character in 6 is exactly how you make, like, a likable, relatable, in a sense. I mean, not fully, but I think that's how you make, like, a good character, male or female. But, you know, everybody always talks about, like, how do you make a strong whatever kind of character? That's how you do it. You don't like her because her tagline isn't, hey, I'm a girl, I'm a, you know, minority, so you have to like me. No, I'm a cool character. You're going to like me because of what I do in this movie. And I think that's very important, right? The writers, I think, should get a lot of credit for that, too. So, Courtney Cox is such a fantastic actor. She is. Do you think that Paramount is going to greenlight Scream 7 by this week? I think it'll probably be, well, I think last time it was 3 weeks after, so I think either next week or the week after. I think it'll happen. Chad coughing up blood sold it for me that he would die. Who was your favorite kill? Annika, for sure. Annika or Bailey. I think those would be my top 2. I also believe going into 7, it'll be the demise of the main characters who survived this movie. I think they're going all for it next movie. Yeah, Connor, that makes a lot of sense, honestly. Yep. It's hard to believe the killer in the bodega was any one of the killers in the 3rd act. I think it was Bailey, because the gun, the hand-to-hand kind of stuff, I think it was him. She pronounces her name Melissa. It's just Melissa. I'm never going to be able to say that right, so I'm not even going to. I'll call her how I feel most Melissas are called. Sam is psycho, and I love it. I wasn't a big fan of her acting in 5. She did a full 180, in my opinion. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier in the stream. She did so good. So good. I don't really care how bad Ethan was, although I didn't hate him. No one will be worse than Charlie, in my opinion. I think Ethan was worse than Charlie, I'll be honest. But Kirby wasn't a good enough investigator to catch it all. Yeah, Kirby wasn't very, like, Kirby helped out a lot, and I liked all her lines. I liked her kind of inspirational speech to Tara. We haven't talked about that scene. I thought that was a great scene between 2 survivors that aren't looked at as, like, the final girl, right? Like, I really liked that. Kirby was really good, but yeah, she didn't figure but nobody figured really anything out, right? Like nobody kind of knew. Mindy was the closest one to figuring it out. But to be fair, when Billy comes down the stairs in one, like it's so obvious at that point he's the killer, and Sydney has no clue. So, and again, I'm trying not to like pick at comments or anything, but I do just want to, because I struggle with it too. Look, if I critique something, I really try, maybe it's because I'm on the internet, maybe I wouldn't care if I wasn't, on the channel and stuff. If I critique something, I really want to stay consistent. So if I'm going to critique that like nobody figured it out, well, then I guess Sydney didn't figure, you know what I mean? Then Sydney's not that smart either in one. But I don't really want to say that, you know what I mean? Because I think she is a very smart girl, and I think, it all kind of works out anyway. So, I don't know. Is that controversial to say? I just feel, if you're going to say that, again, not to single people out, but, if you're going to say, well, Kirby didn't figure it out, well, Billy died in front of her, comes out, it's very clearly him. I know she's maybe distracted, but you have to imagine that too. Like Sydney's distracted by Stu and Randy at the door. And this, all hell is breaking loose. They're getting attacked by a ghost face. Chad and all that stuff. Is Sam and Tara, I mean, I guess you said Kirby. But like, are some people supposed to be able to figure these things out? They rarely do. Normally, it's the Mindy or Randy or Kirby types. Those are the people that figure it out. Nobody else can do it until they are revealed, right? And that's how all the movies work. So, I don't know. Bailey was a cop and Richie's father. What a twist. Loved Kirby's kill with a TV. Yeah, that was a great scene. Sorry for asking the same question. Keep spamming it because they kept telling me they weren't going through. Oh, no worries. Did I miss it, Connor? I don't see it. I don't know if you asked something before. I love the movie, but at the end, when the sisters stop for a heartfelt moment while Kirby's presumably still bleeding out a few feet away, I was like, is now the time for this conversation? Yeah, I kind of thought... I thought that as well. You know what else I thought? Again, like it's in the moment, so I'm not going to judge it too hard. But when Kirby's stabbed and Sam's like, I'm going to need this. Well, number one, she like takes the knife out. I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to do that, right? I think you're supposed to leave the knife in. So she could have like accidentally killed Kirby right there, like because of the moment. So she does that. That was kind of funny and silly at the same time. Then when she tells Kirby, we're going to go get help. So they start climbing up the ladder. But like, you're leaving Kirby, assumingly, like as far as Sam knows, you're leaving Kirby with Bailey and with Ethan like 5 feet away. Do you think they're going to let her live? So I would actually say that was worse than the conversation thing. I also thought that, where it's like Kirby's dying. So like you're sitting here, you're having this great little moment. It was a great moment, but is now the time to be doing it. My thing was more, we're going to get help. Are you? Because by the time cops come, they'll kill you. They'll have killed Kirby. There's no way you're going to get there in time. So, Gail did say something about a limited series. Yep. She said, the true crime, a true crime limited series. Could be a TV show. It could be like a special that they're filming for 7. I think that, Sam also didn't say, you want me, so let's finish this. You're right. She didn't say that. Oh, man. Yep, that was another line. Yeah, there was 3 or 4 lines then. Sydney and Sam Tara are separate people with some similarities. It's hard not to compare them. It's probably not helpful in this new trailer. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not trying to say, like, these are your one-to-one things. Like, they're going to have all the qualities and pros and cons of these people. But, like, if you're literally saying, well, who is the new Sydney? Who's the new final girl? Here it is. Who's the Dewey-like character? Maybe it's not, like, healthy. I'm not thinking about it too deep. You know what I mean? I'm just, like, saying it. So, okay. Let me read the last couple. If there's any final, pressing thoughts, let me know. I will say there's a bunch of things I got right, not even just the reveal, but throughout the movie, a couple of my theories panned out exactly as I thought. Yeah, me too, and it feels good, doesn't it? Like, it feels good for that to happen. So I think we can expect Sam's half-brother to be the killer. But like Sam and Tara, like maybe it's one of them. Honestly, you know? Sam would be a great killer and would be the best one to do it. She scares me. She scares when she has her psycho moments. Yeah. Sydney was a teenager. Kirby was an FBI agent. I guess that's fair. The score was so much better. Oh yeah. The music, guys. You know, I love music, and I try to like. I'm big into like video game soundtracks. There's some like Kingdom Hearts is one of the best scores of all time, and you know I'm really into that. Movies, you know, I'm into like Pirates of the Caribbean. I think has like the best movie score of all time, but I don't pay too much attention to the music specifically in Scream. But there's some very underrated Scream movies that have like amazing music just in the back. 5 was pretty weak. But this movie was amazing. Like, this one was really good. And I was trying to listen out for it more. Both the license stuff and then just the composer kind of things. This movie did a really good job. So, yeah, I'd absolutely agree. The music was great. So, like, I'm very much hoping that moving forward to Scream 7, we will finally meet Sam and Tara's mother. I think we could. I think we could. We didn't get any Blackmore University scenes. I know they went to college. We saw the whole filming on the school, all that kind of stuff, and it was just the outside of the school for the Mindy scene. That was it. And that was crazy that was all they did. Jensen Ackles as Ghostface at 7. That'd be fun. Gale putting Ghostface on hold had me chuckling. Oh, I loved. I mean, you talk about a genius. You know, you have to come up with clever ways to write these scenes, right? You're done it 6 times now. I mean, they aren't the ones who did the originals, but the more, it gets repetitive, and you have to think of like new ways to spice it up. And I can't believe that's really never been done before, at least in the movies. And I loved it so much. Putting them on hold, calling the number, and immediately turning and shooting because you know where the phone is coming from. Genius. And it makes Gale a very smart character, but also like the writing team that crafted that scene, really good. Really, it's tough. Because people earlier should they get a new writing team for 7? The issue is they can craft some unbelievably good scenes, and I keep saying like Sam is now like one of my favorite characters. Like Sam's incredible, so they can do it. They're just not consistent. I don't think they think of everything. I don't know how you do it. I think you need to like write it and then hand it off to somebody and say, okay, can you like pick apart things where it's like the Mindy thing? Like, well, if you read the script, would you say, well, why doesn't Ethan and Quinn kill Mindy? Why is she alive? Well, we're trying to make Ethan seem innocent, but they're separated from everybody, and the final act is right after it. It doesn't matter. You can kill Mindy. So, like, do they need somebody to, like, read their script just to kind of, like, point out the inaccuracies? But the thing is, they are a very talented writing team as well because they make some great characters. They have emotion. There's more emotion in this than there are in a lot of other Scream movies. Like, they can do it. And they can craft incredible sequences. The ladder, the shrine, even the monologue and stuff. But think about the action. Think about what happened. It's really well done, and that's writing too. You have to write that out. So, like, they can do it. It's just, I think they're good at specific things. Does that make sense? How'd you feel about how they handled Gale? Was limited by still. Yeah, I think it was very impactful. The only thing, I'm not a fan of her writing the book, but there was a comment on my review video that said something along the lines of she wanted to write a book about Dewey, but she was so, like, it would hurt her so much that she reverted back to the only thing she could do, which was just do it from her slanted reporting kind of thing. So she kind of reverted out of need because she felt so hurt. That was the only weakness I thought of Gale's character, was why write the book. Everything else was masterful, like really well done. So, and you could make excuses for her writing the book. That's kind of my point. I think my favorite part of Sam's character this time was during Gale's attack. Yes, I mentioned that earlier on in the live stream, really briefly. Sam crying was was like almost me, because it's like, oh my God, please don't kill Gail. We've had this talk, Radio Silence. Please don't you watch YouTube videos. She really, Melissa and Sam reflected the audience, I think, in that moment. So I loved that. I mean, yeah, I mentioned earlier when the first time she cries is when, she's dealing with when Tara tells her, like, you're dealing with stuff that nobody else has to deal with. It's kind of unique. I bought it. I was like, okay, this is not the same crying scene from the hospital in 5. I believe you. I think you're leading the scene. I think you're doing great. So I fell in line there. And then by the time I got to Gail, it's like, oh yeah, I'm all in. Melissa crushed it. And the Gail thing, well, that was just like a cherry on top. Can you be emotional in this scene? You sure can. So I loved it. I think Sam got me almost immediately. Like, talking to Quinn, I really liked. Talking to the therapist was pretty good too. Like, I believe that's the first time you see her, right? I think almost immediately Sam was like just better than what we had seen in 5, at least to me. So I was like, okay, I'm in. And then when she tased the guy, that was funny in like a protective role. So I really like every Sam scene. I love, like, that tasing thing was cool. And then when she gets attacked on the street, I really felt for her. Like, I was rooting for her. I'm like, what are these losers, spilling, stuff on her? Like, that's pathetic. I was immediately on her side. So I'd say right from the beginning, she did great. But I think it was probably when she got the drink spilled on her, and then that stuff started to spiral, or when they saw it on the news. When they saw the news, and Sam's first thing, she says, we got to go. Pack your bags. We're leaving in 10. And I'm like, that's exactly what I would want her to say. You know what I mean? So I thought she was, I'm probably going, last year when 5 came out, I made a video on like every character, and we kind of went over like a deep dive. I'll probably do it again. Sam deserves her own video. She deserves a lot of accolades. She was fun. I want to see it again, really, almost just for Sam. I think she did so good. Jason, thanks, buddy, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. I had a thought back before 5. How about Sam blacking out and committing murders? Do we think Detective Bailey put on mask and killed someone? So first, to the Sam thing, I agree. I don't know if Jason, if you were here earlier, I had kind of said that. I think she's kind of in a trance sometimes when Billy talks to her in 6. So I think it's very possible in 7 she can almost black out and come back to and do something. So I definitely think that's possible. And then did he kill anyone? I'm going to make a video. The video is already done. It'll go up tomorrow of who killed who, but I'll give you a teaser. So I think Bailey, I'll just tell you who Bailey killed, okay? I think Bailey killed Jason, Greg, which is the body in the fridge. Jason, Greg, he was the bodega attack, which also was the attack on the street where he grabbed Tara. And then he killed Stone, the therapist. I think those are all I believe those are all Bailey's. And I have reasons. The video tomorrow is like 15 minutes long. I go through every reason for every killer attack. So I'm really excited for you guys to see that video. I think it's a good one. Okay. I mean, I could do this forever. My throat is the only thing stopping me from continuing all day. But like I said, I'm going to do it again on Monday as well. We'll keep going just a little bit longer. I just want to get to these. Just got out of the theater. I loved it. Nice one. Jason Takes Manhattan reference thoughts. I liked it. I don't really watch too many other horror movies. I thought that's what it was, so I did appreciate it, but I didn't think too hard about it just because I didn't know for sure. So, yeah. How far am I? Okay, I think I caught up. Okay. There were a few scenes that weren't there, like Quinn getting up from her bed. Oh, you're right. Yeah, Quinn. The one scene we got from Quinn in the trailer wasn't in it. Oh, my God. They almost hinted at the mother of Sam and Tara being the killer and have motive in the 7th film. Yep. They kept her around. They kept her around where it could still happen. For sure. Where Where do you think they'll take the franchise next for 7? I do think Hollywood in some sort of like film or documentary or true life, true crime story, kind of, or like an episodic show or something. I think they'll do something like that. Next movie is Amber's family as the killer. No, I don't think so. If they hadn't had every character but Annika ignore their injuries, the movie would have been a top 3. Yeah. That did annoy me, I will be honest. The Sam injuries weren't too bad, right? She gets stabbed in the... Now, like, getting stabbed in the shoulder, I guess it wasn't that deep because she went to town on Bailey, and it was the same arm. So I think you wouldn't be able to do that, but whatever. The Tara stab in the gut should have definitely hurt her more, like, a lot more. So that one upset me because it's like, I didn't think she would die there, but... Ethan stabbing her, that should have kind of eliminated Tara. She should have been, like, put on a bed and all that stuff and for, like, the paramedics. Kirby's, the bullets, I assume she had a bulletproof vest on. And then the stab, it was the same spot she got stabbed in 4, so I didn't really expect her to die there. Gail, I thought she died. And Gail, I thought the first 2 strikes weren't too bad where she could still move around, so I would give them that. Annika really, I think, responded to her attack the way a person should. So it definitely was hit or miss, but I mean, you're right. I mean, characters kind of just ignoring that they were injured. I'm willing to give each one a little leeway depending on the person. But yeah. Her saying that in the trailer was definitely all cut together. Go back. Yeah. Oh, wait. It was definitely cut back. Go back and listen. It sounds like different lines pieced together. You want me... So let's finish this. And you think that was separate in the movie? I'll have to listen to see if she ever actually says it. Scream 7 should take place in Hollywood, Vegas, or somewhere that's iconic. I thought Scream 6's score was the worst. Really? I think it was much better than 5. I thought the score of 6 was so much better than 5, to be honest. Sam's arguably scarier than all the killers once the mask... I agree. I fully... When they were together with the killers at the end, I was more afraid for them than Sam. Because, like, the only thing I was afraid of is, like, what happens with Tara and even Kirby, right? Like, that's actually who I was worried about was Tara and Kirby. I wasn't worried about Sam, partially because I knew her looking at the mask was, like, the final scene. So I knew she wouldn't die. But also, I have immense trust that Sam is just going to take all of them out if she needs to. So Sam definitely was the scariest of the 5 killers in all, Jason being one of them. Sam's the scariest by, like, a lot. Which is, I like it. I mean, maybe you look at that and say, well, Alex, is that a problem? Nah. I really, I'll lean into it. I thought the inverse felt the soundtrack more last time. Scream 3 had the best soundtrack. I always like 2. I like 2 soundtrack a lot. Anyone interested in seeing Gail's parents? Yeah, that was interesting they mentioned her parents. Yep. Okay, let me get to those super chats. Danny was never in harm's way. That being said, you believe he could be the opening kill for 7 based on how untouchable he was in the movie. Yeah, I think so. I think Danny could be possible. Like a Cotton thing, I think could work. He was untouchable. Like I said before, like him stepping in front of Sam, that was tension because you felt like something could have happened there. So I think they did that on purpose, but I do agree with you. I know it's off topic, but it's a bit of an emergency. Hogwarts Legacy game save is broken on the Xbox for a lot of people. It won't save, so we cannot play anymore. Oh my dear God. Well, don't play it until a patch then. But thank you, Rob, for the super chat. I would say just hold off on playing it then until it's fixed, to be honest with you. Just that would be my thing. But I appreciate all the super chats, guys. Brandon, thank you. Love all your content, Alex. And by the way, can we talk about those fake tears when Detective finds out about Quinn? I think that's where to me, Stone was before that, right? So I think when he was trying to sell it on Kirby, that's when I really was like, all right, it's you. Because, I did the same thing in 5. Going into 6, again, I thought it was Bailey and I thought it was Ethan. So when I go in, I want them to kind of prove to me that it's not them, because I already think it's them, right? So I want them to show me in the movie that I'm wrong, which I want. And I haven't been wrong yet, except for Quinn, but I didn't even predict that, so I wasn't, necessarily wrong there. So I guess what I'm getting at is when he cries, that was a big one where it's like, oh my God, like you're not crying, you're clearly the killer. And then when he's gloating about the kill to Kirby, but that was before, gloating about the kill to Kirby, and also when he says, like, and guess whose notes they stole? Sam's. And then Kirby's like, so you're telling me that Sam killed her own therapist and stole her notes? And then he's like, it's possible. And it's like, you're trying to sell it on Kirby so much, I know it's you, because, like, nobody else would do that. So again, it was very obvious. It was very obvious it was him. And then, as I said before, Ethan overcorrected. Ethan was this, like, goofy young kid who was like, well, I have an alibi. You can ask the 5,000 people I was with at this convention. And wait, I'm part of the friend group. And wait, I'm a suspect? Why am I a suspect? I have an alibi. Dude, stop talking. Like, that's what I was thinking, where it's like, that's the writing. And I also think it was kind of him as an actor as well, where it's like, you're overcompensating. You're saying so much to make yourself seem innocent. You're not innocent. And, like, we can kind of all tell. So I think that was real. The Mindy thing, I think, was maybe the worst sequence. The worst thing throughout the movie is if they really were trying to make people believe it wasn't Ethan or Bailey, they did a horrible job. So I'd maybe say that. It is one thing they've never been good at, because radio silence. You look at 5, I predicted it was Richie and Amber, easily. I predicted it was Bailey and Ethan, pretty easily. Bailey was a little on the edge, but then I predicted it was him. So, like, they're not great at hiding the killers. They're really bad at it. So, like, for 7, you really have to up your game. It's the writers, basically, right? The writers really have to up their game in 7, because it's been too easy to figure it out. Now, yet again, like in 4, I will say I think I ever suspected Jill, like, the first time watching. I don't really remember my first time watching. I think in, like, watching 1 back, I don't remember the first time I watched 1, but watching 1 now, it's incredibly obvious it's Billy and Stu. But, like, I say that now after watching it, like, 5-6 times, after years, after talking about it for years of my life on the channel. It's easy for me to say it, but I do think Billy and Stu were so obvious. In much the same ways maybe as the characters now. Like I said, I think 2 does the best job. Or maybe Jill. Like, I don't know how many people suspected Jill. But yet again, didn't people say, like, in the trailer for 4, wasn't there a scene of Jill jumping through the glass? I think somebody told me that once, the glass table. So maybe that would give it away. But I don't I don't know. I don't remember. I wasn't really around at that time. I think Scream 2, if you watch it cold, no, you don't know anything, I think 2 does the best job of hiding who the killers are, because it's got the most suspects for the longest time. It's got suspects, her friend and then Derek, right? So you got both of them, Haley, right? Haley and Derek, and you have Mickey, and so it has the best suspects, and then also you're hiding who it is the best in Mickey and Loomis. So Scream 7 thoughts: Gale opening kill to bring Sydney out at the true crime set interviews with survivors that Ghostface is targeting. I think that's right, Jason, to be honest with you. Like, I don't want to say I'd be shocked if they don't do it, but I think it's kind of leading towards all the survivors coming together to make some sort of, film. Now, why would they do that? Why would Sydney specifically do that? Because she lived through 3, Gale lived through 3. So would they really do that again? But I think that makes the most... It's reflective of 3. It's copying it, but they can do their own thing because they can do something a little bit different. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. If you have this problem, can you report it? I don't have a Twitter anymore, Rob. I can't do anything with Twitter. I love when Chad was yelling beheading when Ghostface cut the mannequin's head off. Yeah, I love that too. That was funny. I do think it's weird how they had Randy's shirt from the video store. Yeah, a lot of the shrine didn't need to be there. Like, it didn't make sense. Ethan got hit with a TV like Stu Macher. Yep. And that scene of Quinn from the trailer made me 90% sure that she would be a victim. It did, yeah. It kind of like made it seem like she was good. Do you consider Jason to be in the ranks of an actual Ghostface? Yeah, I think, oh man, yeah, you're right. You know what? There's more than 12. There's got to be 13. I think Jason has to be a Ghostface. He wore the mask. He killed somebody. His plan was to kill Sam and Tara. He was a failed Ghostface. So yeah, I think you have to include Jason. I think you're right. There's 13 of them. There's not. I said 12 earlier. There's 13. Yeah, Jason has to be included. At this point, I'm so close to putting Sam on that list. To be honest with you, Anika could have survived that fall. Yeah, well, like the person said earlier, maybe Annika would fall on garbage bags. No, JK. No, I get it. The Chad thing is kind of egregious. They should have killed Chad, like, for sure. People talking about Mason Gooding as the standout, which he was incredible. Melissa cranked it to 11. Yeah, Melissa took it all the way. I'm so happy about that. Honestly, like, one more time going back into that, I thought she'd be better in this movie. Like, that was the whole thing. We've been talking about that for months. Like, hopefully Melissa is better. Hopefully Sam is better. And then when you go in the movie and it's just, like, kind of natural that, oh, she's so much better than 5. It just felt so, because I guess I don't even want to look at it as, like, I'm not worried about her anymore. But I will say it's like I'm not. Okay, to be honest, right? Because if she was, like, kind of shaky in this movie, I feel like that would distract me. Like, me, maybe the critic, me, the cynic, but me as somebody who's talked about it so long and I've made all these videos, maybe I focus on the wrong things or for the wrong reasons. But I feel like for me, if she was shaky in this movie, I probably would have focused on her, like, too much. And maybe it would have, like, disconnected me from the rest of it. But to be honest, immediately she's good. So it's like, oh, I'm not worried about having to like her. I do like her. And so the rest of it is like, let's just see what you got and then just give it to me. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So that's kind of how I did it, where it's like, all right, I'm really interested to see how good she is, if she's even good. And then immediately, first couple minutes, oh, don't have to think about that anymore. You know what I mean? Like, immediately, that's done. That's not part of my note taking about this movie. So, yeah. So glad Stab wasn't a big part of 6. That was getting tiresome. It was. And, they only mentioned it, right? They only mentioned Stab 1 and 2. So, love the opening sequence. Good. But seriously, if people didn't like Sam before, they'll love her now. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's true. I liked how they took the character, and I'm interested to see where they'll take her next. I have a lot of confidence, actually, where they'll take her next now. This is a BTS pick of Jasmine, Tony, and Samara, so I assumed they'd have a scene together. Right. Yep. That was the very beginning of the movie. Yeah, I definitely think it was just pieced together line to sound like she's saying that. If you watch the trailer back, you can tell. I shall. I think a new rule for Scream is don't trust family. Yeah, really. Gabriella, what's up? Haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm keen on catching you live, so I'll try to listen with half an ear. Yeah, no, I don't want to spoil it, so no, I appreciate you being here, though. The one shot of Tony R in the beginning of the movie reminded me of Halloween. Danny could be Amber's dad. I don't think Bailey did Stone. Hear me out. He was in the office at the same time, was he not? It makes more sense for Ethan to have killed Stone. Well, there's an odd, like, time thing. Like, a lot of it does take place during the day. I believe, if I have the sequence right, I believe Stone dies, and then immediately it's the college where Mindy explains the rules. So I get it. Like, I think you could argue any of them. I think specifically for Stone, I think Stone is the only one that you could really argue any of them could have done it, because you don't really know what day it is. You don't know what time it is. And then the scene before and after doesn't influence the scene that it is. Does that make sense? So when Stone dies, Where Bailey is before and after doesn't matter. Where Ethan is before doesn't matter. So it's kind of just what I would counter with is Bailey was kind of gloating to Kirby. He was stabbed through the nose. Can you believe that? And she's like, ew, that was gross. It's like, I think he's gloating about his own kill. He's saying, like, can you believe I did that? Like, isn't that neat? I think that's why that line was in the movie, was to show that it was him. He could have been gloating for Ethan. Like, look at what my son did. You know what I mean? It could have been that, but I think he was gloating for himself. Think the best way to hide the killers is to introduce new characters and make none of them Ghostface. That would be such a curveball because you always think the survivors are safe. Yeah, Connor, you're right. Thanks again for the super chat, buddy. Yeah, I think you gotta have. I think the next movie, if you introduce all these new characters, at most one of them should be the killer. Like, that's it, just one, and then you maybe have Sam do the rest of it. Or the only other way you do it is if, like, a thing this movie had to its advantage is it moves so quickly. Unless you're thinking at a very high speed, you're just keeping up. You're keeping up with the movie, so it's hard to kind of like process everything. The only thing I think you could do for 7 to make it work is have the killers or killer kill the survivors fast. You have this kind of speed that you had for 6. You have that in 7, but you have main characters dying. So you kill Kirby, even though I wouldn't love that, but like, we got a lot out of Kirby in 6, more than I thought. So if you wanted to kill her now, I wouldn't throw the biggest fit on planet Earth, but you could kill Kirby, kill one of Mindy or Chad, kill Danny, right? I mean, that's already 3. Just eliminate. Bam, bam, bam. You're moving so quick. Yeah, you're going to pick them out from the new group, but you're also losing the existing group. So I think it would work better. And then if you have Sam going nuts, maybe you don't know. Maybe you think Sam's doing it, right? So I think you can use Sam to help you. I think, like, making her seem like a real killer would add an extra suspect that right now you never believe anybody who's dying in 6 is because of Sam. Just like 5. You never do. The scene of Sam walking behind the curtain in the Ghostface costume was so chilling. Richie as the cameo was weak. Yeah. It was weird seeing Richie like that, so I would maybe kind of agree with that. Sam, I'm a cop, Sam. How do you think this is going to play out? Who do you think they're going to believe? Probably the one who's still alive. I think that's the line. And it's like, firstly, great line. Secondly, if you're thinking that Sam's saying that, because technically she is, I'm going to add that to her checkbox, that was an iconic line. Thirdly, Roger, excellently done. Fourthly, when she says that and she's walking and you see her in the curtain, oh my God, like, it was so good. It was so good. Her killing him was like a cherry on top because the walk behind him was worth it to me already. All right. Chad says we are the core 4. Awesome line. Yeah. This discussion is like a math equation. Yeah, it kind of is. Was the secret cameo Jack Quaid in the home videos? I think it kind of has to be, right? I'm happy about the fake leaks I read by accident in some comments, so I enjoyed it a lot. The acting was awesome. Samara's scream was so real. Yep. Samara did a really good job of dying. Do you think they brought up the TV death for Stu if he's alive or not, and the final kill with Ethan the same TV to show fans you can't? Yeah, awesome, thanks. I said that in the beginning. I actually do think that was a subtle extra thing. I think the Kirby Mindy thing was just to kind of keep the theory alive, but I said it actually earlier in the stream. I think the idea that the TV was the thing to end Ethan was exactly what you said, a subtle hint that, yes, this TV is able to kill someone. So because it killed Ethan, it killed Stu. But yet again, because they'll never say that Stu died, you can always still have the theory. But I think it was a hint that, yes, that TV can kill. You know what I mean? You're exactly right. I wish we got a Scream that is shot from the killer's perspective for every kill. One of the goriest kills wasn't even a kill. Quinn, kind of lame. Yeah, I mean, we had that a little bit with Jason in the beginning of this movie. And then, I mean, in some ways, Sam, you know. So they're close, but they're not obviously going for it all the way, which is okay. What about Greg? Didn't I say Greg? Jason and Greg were both Bailey, I think. Chad is great. He is. The way that Sam was stabbing the father to the naked body parts so quick and hard was epic. Yeah. Let's see. Did they cut the scene of the girl in the silver making the funny finger gestures on New York? I think, yeah, they may have. Yeah, I noticed that, actually. I didn't think Bailey did kill Stone. Hear me out. Oh, I already answered that, Ultimate Firefly. I already said that. I said that like 10 minutes ago. What about the post-credit scene? It was, I know what it is. I actually didn't stay to, I didn't stay to watch it, but I know what it is. I think it's kind of clever, but it wasn't worth, it wasn't worth me staying. If you could change one thing about the movie, what would it be? Kill Mindy. Kill Mindy in that train. Because one final time, I'll say it for this live stream, I said it before, the Mindy kill, as us for the audience, we needed to see that, right? So when they filmed it, they're thinking, okay, the audience needs to see this Mindy scene because Mindy is a character in this movie, and we need to know what happens to her, okay? So that's why we saw. And it was also a very ghost-like, right? Lights flicker, Ghostface gets closer. Very cool shot sequence. So from us, the audience, we need to see it. But I wish they took it one step further and they were smarter and they said, well, as a movie, the characters in the film, this fictional world, there's no reason Mindy should survive that because you're not trying to make Ethan innocent or guilty. Nobody sees it. Nobody. From that scene to when Ethan reveals himself, nobody knows what happened. Only we know. And we don't really matter in that. Does that make sense? We don't matter in the sense that if you tell us Ethan is Ghostface or not, guess what? The characters still won't know. So when the characters are shocked that it's Ethan, you can still have that. They just want it to be that we find out when the final girls find out. When Sam and Tara see it, we see it. But in reality, that's not how it should work. There's no reason that you should have done that. Because Mindy, you were going to kill Mindy anyway. That was the plan, was to finish her off after you kill Sam and Tara. Just kill her in the train, and that's it. Because in the real life, if Scream was a real thing, you would kill her there. Because what does it matter that Ethan was innocent for that scene? It doesn't matter. It does not matter that Ethan was innocent there. It only matters for us because we saw it. So we say, oh, maybe Ethan's not the killer. But then he is 5 minutes later. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that we know or don't know. All that matters is what made sense. It didn't make sense to keep Mindy. So I had to change one. If I just picked, spin a dial, one pick, kill Mindy. That would fix the inability to kill survivors thing that people complain about, which I do too. It would fix that. And it would fix my biggest sequence issue with the whole movie. I was rotating. No, it's okay, Ultimate Firefly. I basically just explained why. You know, Bailey. I said basically Bailey gloats about it afterwards. But I talked about it like 10 minutes ago. I'll also explain it, by the way. If you don't want to like rewind, it's okay. Tomorrow's video, the Who Killed Who video, I go over each thing. So I explain everything of each kill. So I explain why the bodega, or whatever you said, Stone. I explain why that had to be him. So yeah. There was a lot of subtlety in the film, like when Tony's character was killed. Who gives an F about the movies line? Yep. On the nose, saying that it's taking itself seriously this time. Yeah. The train scene was much longer than I thought. Yep. Emma Roberts could have come back. Director said so when asked, and she was only shot in the chest, not the face. Yeah, but again, I do not think they bring back past killers. Except for Billy, and that was a special circumstance. I'm glad people don't hate how I'm thinking about the Mindy scene, you know? And I'm not a filmmaker. I don't think I could make a screen like, you know, I think if you put me in like a collaboration room with like ideas, or if you tell me, hey, read this script and see if you find anything that's wrong, like if a character knows something they shouldn't know, I think I could do that. Could I write a Scream movie? Most certainly not. I'm not like going to pretend like I'm better than these people, but I'm just trying to think about it from, you know, as a movie, from us, the audience, it's important for us to see Mindy. But the fictional world, there's no reason she should have lived. She should have died. It doesn't make any sense. And I think they thought about it wrong. Like, I don't know how they ended up on that at all. Somebody didn't check them. I don't know. I know you already talked about it, but man, I wish that they would have killed Chad off. Agreed. It had great emotion, and as much as I loved his character, I think it would have been better. Yep. Yep, if I'm directing, Mindy and Gail are toast. Yeah, maybe. I think Gail could be toast as well. Yep. I kind of assumed Chad would survive his attack from something I heard before I watched it about how a certain someone should not have survived, but they were happy they made it. Oh, okay. Maybe Gail, though, was the person they were talking about. It could have been a couple people. We needed a legacy kill to up the stakes for 7, a reason for Sydney to come back and want revenge. Could be the opening of 7, though. Like, you can still do it. The marketing team really duped us. Nothing about the Mackenzies in the movie. That pink dot next to Stu's name on the train poster didn't really lead anywhere. And the ladder scene. Oh, that ladder scene. Who should play the mother? Eva Mendes, Salma Hayek. They have done a few horror. Yeah, I think either of them would be fine. Chad, Gail, and Mindy should have died, so they are goners in 7. Very possible, Jason. Yeah, the marketing was pretty smart. It was pretty. I think it was pretty good, to be honest with you. I really thought that Mindy was going to die in her second movie, just like Randy. Yeah, and maybe they were afraid to do that. Like, maybe it was honestly fear, you know. This is your mother calling. Turn off the computer and get to bed. I found some aspects of Scream 6 to be excellent, but there was too much mediocre. Mindy's most annoying character next to Jennifer Jolie. I wanted to love this film, but was disappointed. Yeah, marketing was amazing. Yeah, no, that's totally... Hey, look, and as I've said, I respect it. As long as you respect what I think, I'm always going to respect what you think. So I definitely respect it. I don't agree with it, but it doesn't matter what I think. You know, I've always said that. The Mindy thing, I just don't get. I really like Mindy. I don't think she's the greatest. Again, she maybe isn't in like even the top 5 of characters in Scream 6, but I think she's good. Like, I don't. But I mean, it's fine thinking it. I just don't get it. Don't get the Mindy thing. What lines what lines upset people that don't like Mindy? I guess I'm asking. I see a lot of marketing duping us, but maybe the Stu's Die on the Map was hinting at something for 7. Doesn't necessarily have to be for 6. Yeah, possible. That's the best form of marketing, isn't duping marketing. Yeah, the whole point of marketing is to, I think marketing anything, right? Fool the person, fool them, and and that's kind of it. Fool them and get them to watch your movie. So... Is there any reason why people don't like... I'm probably going to get off in like 2 minutes. Is there any reason specifically anybody want to come up with lines for Mindy? I want to know. Because I really liked her. To be more positive, I did like Ghostface very much when in the outfit. Very good Ghostface. Also surprised by the death of Zerny. Yeah, enjoyed the nose knife kill. Best Gale since Scream 2. Yeah, I agree. You know what? It was another marketing trick. When Sam falls off the balcony, they completely erased Bailey because they both fall, and they took one out. So I noticed that. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I think they used Stu's name playing with the fans. Yeah, I think that's the whole point of Stu. It's just mess with fans. Which Ghostface do you think chased Sam, Tara, and Chad in the shrine? I believe that is Quinn. I believe that's Quinn. And I explain why in the video tomorrow. But I do believe that's Quinn. And then I think Ethan is the one that stabs Chad before they both stab him. I think Ethan is the one who comes out of nowhere. I think that's Ethan. So, yeah. I was happy they got the name right in the movie versus the poster. Nancy Loomis. Yeah. What about a Ghostface toy? I'd love a Ghostface toy. Yeah, you want to give me one? Who was responsible for that video sent of Richie's sister being fake killed? I think that was just like home videos that Bailey had. I think that was just him. Hello from Brazil. Love your channel. Thank you, Bruno. Appreciate it. Thank you. Liana was the best of the killers. Good performance. Yeah, I think consistency wise, I think Liana was the best. Maybe Bailey's a little bit better in my opinion, but I think she would have been the best. They also put gloves on Quinn when she was scraping the knife on the railing. Oh yeah. And of course they blurred out, or they put the mask over Ethan when Tara's hanging. There's several. I mean, there's probably like 10 plus things that they tricked us on. Maybe I'll make a video on that. I maybe have to make a list of lines that are not in it, or set out of order, or if they digitally change something. So yeah. Mindy says it's not a sequel but a requel, and everyone is a suspect. Both ghost faces wiping the knives together. It was a dope scene. Yeah, it like, I don't know, just maybe some people would think it's cheesy. I haven't really seen that. I love that. Like, it was synchronized. I mean, I thought that was super cool, to be honest with you. Next movie should take place in a Ghostface Halloween costume factory. That'd be funny. My only Mindy issue is she should not have survived being stabbed in the stomach and lived where others have died. Yeah. Gotcha. The video he is talking about is Quinn getting stabbed through the window. The video he is talking about is Quinn. Oh, yeah, well, and that's what I thought. I thought that was Quinn, but it's actually Stone, the therapist. Yeah, I meant the marketing comment in a good way. I'm not complaining. Oh, yeah. For sure. Marketing is literally to fool you into doing something. Like, that's what, I mean, it shouldn't be fooling you. It should be like, it's like egging you on in a positive way. Like, it's just giving you reason to do something. But a lot of times it does dupe you into doing something, right? Marketing just in general, not just movies. So yeah. I love Bailey as a killer. I think he did most of the kills, and I loved his character too. Nice. I love to see Gail visit Dewey's grave, and Ghostface chases her through the graveyard. Ooh, man. Would that be disrespect? I mean, I liked seeing his grave thing. I like that idea. Not every movie needs a post-credit scene. Was mean and not funny. I missed the monologue again. Was corny AF. I liked the miss the monologue thing. When she runs and she says, it's Ethan and Bailey, and they say and Quinn, and she's like, dang it. I missed the monologue again. Honestly, I liked it. I liked that line, to be honest. That's okay. It's okay, and we don't have to agree. Not every movie needs a post-credit scene. Yeah, it is what it is, that line. I could probably agree with you on that one. Also, Mindy doesn't seem like a film buff at all. Yeah, Mindy just seems like a rule person. Like, Mindy knows how these movies are put together. Like, she really does. But the only movie thing I would say that's probably not true, though, because both times, like, she has the back and forth with Kirby. She clearly knows movies. And then in 5, or also in her requel monologue in 6, she talks about Star Wars and all these movies of legacy characters dying. So she does it again. And then in 5, she did it too. So I get the sense she knows about movies. I think she leans more towards their structure. She knows how things are arranged. But I think they've done enough to make it that she also is just a fan of movies. I think there's not a ton. I would agree with that, maybe. There's not a ton, but I think there's enough. Hey, Alex, glad you loved it. I thought it was horribly written, plot holes galore, and illogical. Chad a cyborg, Kirby the worst FBI agent ever. No one died that mattered, so cops and media bad too. You know, it's hard to argue with at least some of that. No, that's the fun of it, right? That's the fun of it. I agree with probably half of that too, which is interesting, right? I only like the opening and Sam. Isn't it nuts that even the people who don't love this movie still like Sam? Isn't that great? Isn't that something that we can look at as a positive? I think Danny sent the picture of Ghostface holding Quinn. Oh. When Quinn's being attacked. Oh, I think it was a video, wasn't it? It was a video that was sent. Oh, yes. Okay, I get it. It could have been Danny. I thought it was set up from the killer. I thought it was the killer texting them in the moment. It could have been Danny. I never really thought of that. We all survived. That's a twist of a twist. Mindy saying we thought, cringe a bit. I thought it was just a picture, Danny. I thought it was a video. I don't feel this movie has any real consequences for 7, mainly because nobody important died. I think the biggest consequence is Sam's very close. She's so close to turning, but she hasn't, but she's this close. That's probably the biggest consequence, to be honest. How did Sam's secret boyfriend not know they were faking the redhead's death? Maybe it was in like the bathroom, or maybe he it's because he like had to have gone to get the ladder at some point, right? So it's possible he just didn't see it. Hello there, what's going on? What's up, the Spider Master? Still love Ghostface and the lore of these films, and of course Sid and Gale and the first 2 films. Luckily, all the films have good attributes, regardless of how good they are. Yeah, it was a picture of her. Oh, okay. Then maybe it was Danny. It's possible they made it so real in the moment, right? Like if you're fooling it, because like Ghostface saw Danny, so it's possible that when you do the whole Quinn thing, that wasn't even how it was supposed to go, but because they saw Danny, they had to do it like that. You know what I mean? But I could buy that you would make it believable enough that it seems real. I think you could do it. And again, like Danny maybe panicking, maybe he's going to get the ladder, he maybe would miss some of it, right? Like I could buy it. But to dude triple exclamation mark comment, I agree. I think because I don't watch other horror movies, right? Like I'd like to know, like, look, people have problems with 6, but 6, I think it's a really good film, and I like it as one of the best Scream movies. Like, isn't this quality of 6 better than most horror movies when they get to the 6th installment? And I don't know. I do not know. From what I've heard or think, like Halloween or Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, when these movies, or Hellraiser, when these movies get to 6, aren't they like complete garbage? This movie is not complete garbage. This movie, I think, is, in my opinion, extremely good. Maybe to others, not so good. But I think compared to other ones, is there a bad Scream movie compared to like the garbage of other horror films? But I don't watch them, so I don't really have a stake in that fight. I like Scream. I like all of them. I think some are weaker, but there's not like a bad one. That's all I really care about is my own opinion. You know what I mean? Never trust the love interest. Still reckon Danny may be involved. Maybe. I do want new writers and directors. I don't think you need to change the directors because I love how it's shot. Glad you like the film, Alex. It's always great to see the fans of this genre get to be happy. Genre is very healthy. Yeah, and like it's interesting. Like I like it. I appreciate people have different opinions. It's actually odd because I think like I've probably gone after 5 more than I've said good about it. Even though overall I like 5 more than I don't, I've probably talked more negatively about it than positive. And it's odd actually, this little shift where it seems like maybe half the community here doesn't really like. I like Scream 6 more than most people here? I think I may, which is, I don't think I've ever been in that situation for many, or I think I probably have, but not for many things. So it's kind of cool to see, like, am I in the minority here? And I'm okay with that. Just, as long as we respect each other, who cares, you know? But I like that. Did your audience applaud for any actors? No, very few people in my theater. And it's because there were multiple showings. I actually saw it in a worse theater. Like, there was a Dolby Atmos, and they added that showing later. So I actually booked a different room, and then nobody went to that one. There was like 15 people in my theater, but in the one that started half an hour after me, which was it was the Dolby one where like the chairs shake and stuff. That was 30 minutes after my show. That one was almost full. It was almost a full show. So nobody applauded, nobody gasped in my theater because there's nobody there. But I also saw the earliest showing, period, that was at my AMC. I saw the earliest showing. So it was a pro-con. I didn't see it in the best atmosphere, but I got it to see it the earliest. But I didn't get the crowd reaction, you know? So I want to see it again. I may see it tomorrow or Sunday, and then, you know, maybe I'll see it with more people. Okay. I really have to go because my throat is destroying me, but I can't stop talking. Let's see. I cannot get over the ladder scene and the setup. It was so good, but the TV spot ruined it. Yeah, I think not knowing that ladder thing was coming at all would have made it probably the best scene in all of Scream history. I think knowing it still puts in like the top 5 or 10, but you knew some stuff was coming. Didn't the detective say it was a body double during the reveal? He said he switched. I think that was. I think they threw Quinn's actual body on Annika when she fell on her. I think that was the real Quinn. Then afterwards, the dad swapped them. That's what I think. I just wish they didn't call from Richie's phone. There's no way to do that unless the family has his phone. You know, honestly, in the moment, I didn't even think of that. I was just kind of like, oh, I love it that they're using Richie, that like it's a dead guy and like, you know, is it a ghost? I liked it in his moment. Despite the flaws of 6, there were only 3 that bugged me. The stab wounds meaning little to some, Dermot's acting at the end, and the musical score. Yeah. Why were the ghost faces so menacing? Then they were so terrible in the third act, except for Quinn. The other two's acting in the third were totally bad. Why did Ethan help Mindy live? And yeah, well, I'm the Ethan thing with Mindy. I don't understand. Scream 6 is really good compared to other cheaper horror movies. Is Scream like the most expensive one though? Like, I know what you're saying, but like, is there a movie of Scream's box office and budget caliber that's also made it to 6 that's better than Scream? Does that movie exist? I don't think it does. What are good horror? Is The Conjuring, is that one that people like? How many of those are there? You know, I don't know. I don't like people saying Quinn died off screen. She was obviously a ghost face. I mean, the thing was cleverly brought up by the sound she was making. Yeah. So Bailey must have been Ghostface that killed Annika. No, it wasn't. It was Ethan. I'll still buy the film since I'm a big... Yeah, I gotta buy 6. Yeah, and the 3D... I saw... there were some people that told me that they really liked the 3D version. I'm with you, Alex. Loved Scream 6. There we go, Logan. Thanks for being here, buddy. Director's great. Writer's terrible. There you go. Well, I'm on your side, Alex. Scream 6 was dope. Far better than Scream 3 and 5. I think, and you know, again, I'm going to be very confident in my own opinion because it's just myself thinking. This movie, without a doubt, is better than 3, and it's better than 5. I will hear out people that don't agree, but I will not change my mind, like for sure. I love 3's ending. 3's ending is one of my favorites, and it's much better than this ending. I love the back and forth between Roman and Sydney and, you know, all that stuff. I thought it was so good. So even the phone call when she's at the police station. So 3's ending is phenomenal. But, you know, compared to the rest of the movie, I really prefer 6. I could hear out, like right now I put it after 1. I say 1, 6. 6 would be my second favorite. Will I change in the future and say 2 or 4 are better? 4 has always held a soft spot. 2, when I watch 2, I think it's incredible. And then it kind of like drops in my rankings until I watch it again. And then I remember how good it is. Only 2 has that for me. Like, I think it's great when watching it. Then I kind of like think it's not as good. And then when I watch it again, I'm like, oh no, this is still incredible. It's the only film in the franchise that does it. And 4 will always hold a soft spot to me. So maybe I would put those 2 ahead of 6 at some point in my life. But right now, I'm putting 6 as my second favorite. I personally love Scream 6, even with the plot holes and such. I adored it. I would put it as my number 2. There you go. I just said the same thing. I watched it 3 days ago. Oh my God, Wayne. I like Scream 2, and I had low expectations for Scream 6 because of Scream 5 wasn't as I expected, but Scream 6 is one of the best sequels. It was also at the earliest show, maybe 15 people in. Yeah, people just don't go to see Scream 6 at 5:30 at night. Gail got punched. Funny thing is, I saw the leaks and I still believe Bailey when he put sus on Kirby. Yeah, I did too. I didn't see the leaks, but I wanted to give him that. Like, I wanted to believe him in that moment. IMO, the Scream franchise is hands down the best horror/slasher franchise in terms of overall quality for having 6 movies. Even the weakest ones are better than other franchises' best ones. Yeah, see, that's where I'm at. But it's easy for me to say when I don't really care about other franchises or film. You know what I mean? I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear other people say that, because I do think that's a accepted statement, an accepted opinion online. But I think it holds more weight coming from people like when the Lethal Collective, when Jake, Killjoy Jake, and Steven or Critical Overlord, like when they say it, I think it holds maybe more weight than when I say it. I mean, I'm very strong on my opinions, and I'm not going to change for them. But I think when you watch other horror movies, I think you can judge it based off them more than me. I'm just judging this film by itself. And I think that gives me a unique perspective. I really do, because it's like I'm just judging it. I have nothing to base it off of. I don't even know what the titles of the other movies that made it to 6 are. So I can't say, oh, compared to Halloween's 6th film, I don't know anything about it. I don't care. I don't care, and I'm not going to watch it. You know, it's just, and that's okay if you don't like that about me, right? But that's who I am, and I've leaned into that in the past 3 years or whatever, talking about Scream. I'm not going to change now. I know it was hectic, but no one checked to make sure Quinn wasn't dead. Yeah. The writing is decent as far as dialogue. Yeah, I think the dialogue is pretty good. I think again, it's the like issues of it is, does these things make sense in the moment? Those are the writing problems I think this movie has. We had a father and a 4-year-old son in our cinema. They're in the wrong movie. Poor kid didn't even survive the intro. Oh my God. Well, when you see Samara Weaving, don't you immediately know? Or when you hear ghosts, oh my God, that's scary. I feel bad for that kid. How in the hell did Sam not know any of Richie's family? I just assume that because she was only with Richie for like 6 months. She was only with Richie for 6 months. It is possible that she wouldn't have known. I do think that's possible. My biggest disappointment was the number of survivors and lack of death in killing certain characters. Totally. I think that was the biggest one. I think that was a big problem. Do you think Ethan as a killer was a last-minute change? It could have been. Ethan being a killer would or not being a killer would have explained that, and if you had Danny be a killer instead. But I think just because of the family dynamic, it wouldn't have made sense. Like, you had to have had it be Ethan. So, I don't know. Hey, Alex, what's going on? Like the video, thumbs up the video. Thank you. Didn't Ethan say something about letting Mindy live was his alibi? Oh, I don't remember if he said that, honestly. But again, like, it doesn't matter. Like, he doesn't need to have done that. My rank is 4, 1/2, 5/6, then 3, but they're also damn good. Recency bias on 6. It's definitely possible that we have higher opinions of 6 because we just saw it. But I think the strengths of 6 aren't going to go away. Maybe the weaknesses become bigger, but I think the strengths are huge. Like Sam as a character, the ladder, the ending, besides the, monologue and stuff, but the ending, the beginning being creative, the family element, those are all extremely good parts of this movie, and they don't change with time. Like, Sam's still a good character tomorrow as she is today. You know what I mean? So I think some things, the ladder scene, I don't see how that will get old. I think, it's never going to live up to the first, or Gail's scene. Gail's scene was awesome. So it's never going to live up to the first time you see it, but it's never going to be bad. I wish Scream 6 killers had better acting and written dialogue. Yeah, I think the acting was a little off. I love all the scenes of Sydney alone in Scream 3. Yeah. I think they can maybe do something like that with Sam or Tara. I'm in the minority here, but I prefer 5 over 6. Scream 6 is bigger, but not better, in my opinion. That's fair. We could have lost more of the cast. Literally no one from Woodsboro dies. Only New Yorkers died. Oh, my God. That's funny. And that is true. Alex, what did you think of the title card? It felt very weird. Oh, I didn't even pay attention. Honestly, I didn't pay attention to it too much. Didn't pay attention too much. I was spoiled yesterday when I Googled Scream 6 poster, and there was a Reddit entry that said Jack Champion said he is a killer. Oh, my God. Of course, Scream has consistency when it's doing the same thing over and over again. I'd argue this one didn't do the same thing over and over again, though. Like, not the whole time. I think in some parts they did. But, like, I don't know. I think some of the parts of this movie were really unique to this film. Opening scene was definitely very clever, though. Best twist in the movie. The slice where you think it's going to be the title card. Then you get the blood splatter on the ghost face. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I didn't know how that was going to play out. And then when they did it, I was like, oh, yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. When 5 came out, a lot of people said it was the best since the original. Now 5 is the worst. Well, I will say, yes. People, and I have it too. Here's what I would say. When I left, this is going to be odd. When I left the 8th Star Wars movie, the worst one, the one that killed the franchise, all in my opinion, I liked it. When I left the theater, and I had a channel. You can actually watch my review of it. When I left The Last Jedi, I liked it. Driving home, I went into my basement. This is me however many years ago. I went into my basement and I recorded the review. From the time I left the theater to the time I started the review, I realized I hated it. Like, I was thinking positively about it, and then I just started getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And then in my review, you can watch it, I started out talking positive. By the end of the review, maybe halfway in, it was all negatives. I hated it. I literally realized, because it was a recency bias kind of thing, that I hated it. What I will say for Scream 6 is I do not feel that. I'm upset on like the Mindy thing and Chad having a bulletproof kind of character, but I'm not. I haven't gone so far down that like I despise them. Does that make sense? I know it's odd to bring up Star Wars, but that is like a perfect example for me where I realized in real time I liked it purposely because I just walked out of it. So, like, of course you're going to like it, and then you kind of descend. I don't have the same feeling with Scream 6. So, I honestly don't know how Chad survived getting... he got stabbed more than 10 to 12 times. Halloween 6 theatrical over Scream 2022. I've never seen Halloween 6, so like I said, I'm just asking just to see what your guys' opinions are on like Halloween and Friday. I don't know anything about them, so I can't even add. Just got back from watching it less than an hour ago. Loved it. What did you think? Well, I won't go through it all again because I've done 3 hours, but I loved it. I clearly agree that leaving the core 4 alive is cheap, but then again, the core 3 was left standing for 5 movies. Then again, they never were in a position like, say, Chad. Right. Goes back and forth. Scream 7 plot, Gail Sidney back to Woodsboro, final film, no more ghost faces, last fall off, and shock ending. It's possible they go back to Woodsboro, but I actually don't think they will. Sam was so much better. I want her to become a Ghostface with a twist, a Dexter-type Ghostface who only kills other killers until she kills an innocent person. Yeah, which I think she could do in the next one. So no Ghostface cult. I mean, there's the cult of the conspiracy theorists against Sam. Like, that was a cult. So I would say kinda. Scream 1 and 5 had boyfriend, the killer. Scream 2 and 6 was family of the boyfriend. You think Scream 7 will reveal there was a mastermind behind all 3 movies like Scream 3? It's possible. It's possible. It's possible they bring in the person that started that Dreadit thread or whatever that thing's called in 5. It's possible that person is the killer. Jack Champion will be remembered as the worst Ghostface, at least to me. Yeah, he probably will. Sam may accidentally kill Tara while hallucinating. Yeah, I think Sam will accidentally either kill Tara or Danny. I think those two make sense. Who else thought it was Kirby, especially with that side-eye look at the chained entryway? Yeah, I don't know why she did that, because that made her look super, super sketch, but, she did it anyway. I know people won't be fans, but I think Stu coming back to have a final showdown with Sydney would be a perfectly wrap up her story once and for all. Possible. Last Jedi tried to assassinate GL's, George Lucas's legacy. I do not like that movie with Jake Skywalker and Rey Palpatine Skywalker. So yeah, I hate Star Wars Episode 8. I think I was more surprised at Dewey surviving Scream 2 than Chad surviving this. Dewey seemed to lose a lot more blood. That's true. Dewey lost a lot of blood with less stabs than Chad. Alex, I can't remember who it was, but someone on YouTube mentioned that they'd want a game-style idea for Scream 7. Basically, there's a competition to kill Sid, so she has to battle Manny Ghostface. I like that. A game, okay. I like that. It could be a competition of how many survivors can you kill. Like, there's a couple killers, and how many of them can you kill? You know? Loved how they poked at Stu being alive. I liked it too. Thoughts on all the Stu references? I said it before. Basically, it's just I like that they did it because they leave it open, but then they have that subtle kind of thing with Ethan with the TV that it probably did kill him. I liked it. I like the Stu references a lot. Kirby probably saw something moving, the ghost face that then knocked her out. You know, that's actually a very good reason that she would do it. The more I'm thinking about it, the less I like the reveals. Yeah, I never really liked the reveals. Was this the first time we were rooting for Ghostface to win in part 2 of the opening scene? Yeah. I think it's the first time we were hoping that a Ghostface, like Ghostface calling Jason, you want Ghostface to do it more than any other time. I think so. And that's very, again, like that's unique, right? Take a couple steps back and realize that like you were rooting for the killer because he was going to kill a killer, right? I'm very grateful you have stayed alive for the extra. I know my throat, honestly, I have to do more videos. I don't know how I'm going to do it because I talk really loud. It maybe isn't loud to you guys on the mic, but I'm yelling. So I can hear my voice not being as strong. Maybe you guys can hear it. My voice is not as strong right now. So I think I'm going to call it. I love how everyone interprets the Stu stuff in their own way. I didn't take their quote of Stu as a joke. There was actually no humor present in it at all. Just that's if you believe he's really dead. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I actually don't think it was a joke. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it was just two opposing thoughts. One thinks he's dead, one doesn't. But I don't think it was a joke. Yeah, I agree. And Bearded, appreciate you being here, man. It was great talking to you on the stream with Craven and Nightwatch and all them. Always love talking to you. Kirby's line, I saw that in a movie once, was great. Yeah. Let's see. Saw coming that he was... Oh, you know what was cool? I'll say this. This will probably be where I end it. If you actually watch the opening, which I think is really clever, Jason is about to open the fridge. He's opening it as the phone call. So he was about to see the body. And I think because of the camera, they timed it, right? That he was opening the fridge. And I didn't, in the moment, I didn't realize that, but I figured out afterwards. It has to be perfect, right? He had to lead him on the little game chase. But he was opening the fridge, and then the phone called, and it distracted him from opening the fridge, which very, small detail, but I think honestly that was a really clever thing. Okay. There were 5 ghost faces in this movie if you count Sam, which I think you probably can count Sam. But then do you count Sydney in 1? Do you? I think Sam definitely went more than Sydney in 1, but you know what I mean? All right, I'll end it here. My throat can't go anymore. No, I really appreciate you guys being here. This was a freaking blast. I'm dead serious. I'm so happy that I'm able to talk to you guys because I'm also serious. I stayed away. I was pretty serious on not being spoiled. I wanted to give you guys video predictions without me knowing. I won't say names. This may get a little controversial, so I won't say names. There are people that knew this movie that made videos anyway. And I don't love that idea because it's like, well, you know what's going to happen, so you're faking it. You're faking a lot of things you have to say in the videos. So I did not do that. I did not want to do that. So I stayed away from the theory. Not from the theories. I stayed away from any of the leaks because when I wanted to give you guys my final Ghostface predictions, I wanted to be real and not, oh, I know who it is, but I'm going to pretend like I don't for this video. I think that's kind of sketchy. So I really was in the dark for a long time. I didn't look at your comments on any of my Scream videos, so I felt disconnected from you guys, which is the first time I felt that. So I really appreciate you guys sticking with me. These Scream videos are doing incredible for the channel. We're gaining subscribers, so I feel really good about where we are. Monday, I will live stream again. So if you guys want to come back Monday, we'll do another stream. Maybe next Friday or so, I'll stream with other people. I want to get like a group together, so we'll do that. And, daily videos on Scream. Once it gets maybe a week or two out, there'll be less. But like I did with Scream 5, I'm going to probably do like a video a week. Like a couple weeks from now, probably one Scream video a week, maybe rankings of all the killers, all the phone calls, right? I'll do some like tier lists or rankings, news videos on Scream 7. So we'll do stuff like that. I'll keep Scream around. Scream's not going anywhere. For people that are afraid that when Scream ends, like this movie ends, I'm done. No, I stayed around for 5. I'm staying around again. I'll see you for the pickup for 7 if you want to go, but I'll still be around. All right. Think that's it. Appreciate you all being here. There'll be videos every day on Scream. Monday, there'll be another live stream, and I hope to see you all there. So talk soon.